40 years ago, we opened our doors with one mission in mind.
We'll be right back with the top 10 songs of 1983.
To sell quality American-made vehicles at a fair price.
You have arrived.
And we've loved every minute of the ride. Celebrating 40 years of Two Rivers Ford.
Six o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. The Titans have added a veteran wide receiver, agreeing to terms with Chris Moore. Moore has spent 7 seasons between the Ravens and the Texans. He posted career highs in receptions and yards last season with the Texans. He's also been a kick returner throughout his career. To the NBA, the Memphis Grizzlies evened up their first-round playoff series with the Lakers, beating L.A. 103-93. They did it without Ja Morant. 6 players scored double-digit points, with Xavier Tillman leading the team with 22. Series is tied at 1 game apiece as it shifts to L.A. for Game 3. And the Atlanta Braves, their winning streak stopped at 8 games as San Diego beat Atlanta 1-0. For foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
It's the Thursday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, right here on 104.5 The Zone. Another loaded Thursday show on deck for you today. A great morning to have a great morning in beautiful Music City, USA, with our 11-year NFL veteran, our Capitalized J journalist, and the best producer in the world, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Jonathan Schaefer behind the glass.
The best producer in the world.
My name is Will Bowling. Thursday, April the 20th, we've got Bill Connelly, Coach Mack, Brad Crawford, Bryant McFadden. Oh, my. Good morning.
Good morning, Will. It's a good day to have a good day, man. Happy Thursday, Friday, Junior, whatever you want to call it, man. We're here for it, Will.
The amount of lights shining on me right now is a bit ridiculous, but yes, that's okay. There are two lights on me because I guess
we need to turn one of those over onto Ramon.
Who in the I was gonna say you just turned it off. Why don't you just turn it towards you? The amount of I don't know who sits in this chair who needs two lights on them. Although I have a hunch, but anyway,
I'm guessing your hunch is.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
Anyway, good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning. I don't even really like the light like that, though.
I don't either.
Blinded by the light.
I'm glad you actually know that song now, since we've played it on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I graduate into, society every once in a
I'll
while.
say this. As much as I joke around about your iffy transcripts, you are a quick learner. You pick up pretty quick.
Well, that's how you stick around for a while, too. Look.
11 seasons, right?
Well, even here, heck. I'm still here. Understand.
How was our Wednesday?
Wednesday was good for me, man. I thought it was very solid all the way through. I didn't make it to the Big Orange Caravan, but there was an event afterwards last night, man. It was really, really cool at an establishment, I think, in the Gulch. No free shout-outs. I almost dropped the name. It was like no free shout-outs. But it was really cool. It was on a rooftop last night, man. Really, really, really good people were around yesterday. Met some very interesting folks last night. I enjoyed myself. I got told last night, too.
Wait, you got towed?
Not told. Told. I should have TOLD.
Those are the same word.
Yeah. They could be both the same words to me, okay? I got told last night, man. Very interesting. I hadn't had this situation come up since I took the job on the first day. Guy comes up to me. It's VFL, too. Hey. How you able to cover the Titans, man? I know you hate them. I was just like, whoa.
That's so not true.
That's so not true. He hit me with that last night. I was like, dang, I thought I was past this point of doing my job, man.
Sleepy Ramon Foster.
And we went back and forth last night a little bit about that topic. And I just asked him straight up. I said, hey, do I do my job well? And he was like, yeah, you do. I was like, can you tell? I was like, am I biased? He was like, no, you're not biased. I was like, so how you going to ask me if I hate the Titans then, man? I think it was his version of being, doing an icebreaker with me just to get me to crack a little bit. But I was just like, dang.
Hey, black don't crack.
Man, well, God, that was a little interesting last night. It was all in good fun, though.
It is funny when you do meet people that listen to the show. And I always have to be careful because first I have to gauge whether or not they like the show.
Yeah.
Because if they don't like the show, I just don't want to hear it.
That's fair. I get that.
Like there was a guy sitting around us at the SEC tournament who was like, oh, yeah, I listened to you. Doesn't mean I agree with you, but I listened to you. I was like, okay, well, let me know where to listen to you, or I'll tell you I probably don't agree with you either.
Yeah,
just
but I
based on
wouldn't
that
want
first
someone
interaction.
to agree with everything. I mean, that would be boring.
Yeah.
And we're not right about everything.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Speak for yourself.
Oh.
I will say that, guys, our conversation wasn't all about that last night. It was more or less just him saying, he finally got down to the core of what that question was. He's like, I hate the Steelers. And I was like,
There it is.
And he went all in. He said, I hate the Steelers. I hate the No, he said, my bad. I hate the Penguins and I hate the Pirates.
So he hates the city of Pittsburgh. That's fine.
I was like, cool.
Pirates aren't relevant enough to hate.
I mean,
Not now.
you're not wrong.
And
wild.
Nashville don't even have a professional baseball team.
Yeah, right.
So he just hate the whole
So
aura.
did you go to him and say, show me on the pirate parrot where they hurt you, okay?
I did.
What happened?
I didn't. He was such a cool dude, but we finally got down to what his reason for thinking I hate the Titans was. I was like, we weren't in the same division and where your hate was born in. And he brought up the AFC South and how treacherous, the AFC Central and how treacherous that division was with those teams. And I was just like, oh, okay. I get it. It was a good conversation, though.
Well, the Titans signed a wide receiver yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't see it come across the
Do you hate that? Or do you not, like, about the team you hate, allegedly? I'm not even, for people, I don't even want to do that for people that are just now joining the show. Ramon doesn't hate the Titans.
I hate the Titans.
Chris Moore signed by the Titans. Yeah, I don't know. Another receiver that had just under 600 yards last year.
That's anything to throw our hands in the air about and celebrate. It's
a
a wide
warm body.
receiver to add depth, I guess, in the room. Some veteran, presence, I guess, but it's not like this is going to move the needle. Another Houston Texan as well.
Can I add something to this?
Yeah.
Why does it have to move the needle? They need all the wide receivers right now that they can get.
Well, because we saw last year the wide receivers in that room and the lack of production. That's why.
That's why they're bringing in somebody new that can maybe give them some production and return some kicks. So it's a typical.
But it's
depth
not
signing.
someone with that's what I just said. It's not someone with a ton of production, unless they're trying to draft a guy. I don't see this as being something that is a huge, move. I mean, they needed depth, so eventually you were going to get that.
Essentially, you just got another Nick Westbrook-Akine who can return kicks.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
And returning kicks
and they had
was
plenty of that last year.
Returning kicks was a priority for them this season, and getting someone who can consistently do that without Dontrell Hilliard and some other guys in there. 48 catches for 548 yards, 2 touchdowns while playing in 16 games with 7 starts a season ago. A wide receiver 3 or 4 level of production from last season. The Titans have a lot of wide receiver 3s on their roster.
So how was I wrong in my take?
I didn't say you were.
No, Shafe said,
No. I didn't
So
say
I'm
you
just
were
a
wrong
little
in your
confused.
take. What I'm saying is that people are like, oh, well, this doesn't move the needle. Well, what are we expecting that you're getting a street free agent right now at this period of time? And there's like 2 receivers that are signed by
at
this
some
team right
point
now.
they need to move the needle. So whether that be drafting a guy this year or maybe that's just not going to be the case this year where they have anything in there besides Treylon Burks that's really going to make an impact. But at some point, they're going to have to do that. I'm just saying this is not like anything surprising. They've been doing this for the past 2 years, adding depth.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's making a huge difference on the field. Because, again, the numbers at the wide receiver position last year with Treylon Burks pretty much as your number 1 were extremely low with, I think, Robert Woods actually led the room. And, we all know his production wasn't extraordinary. So it's just, to me, it's kind of frustrating that you still don't have an answer for what they're really going to do at this position. And again, maybe they have a plan in the draft. But for right now, it looks like that wide receiver position this year might just be another thing where we're seeing guys that don't really move the needle.
It's flats, is what you're saying.
I'd be shocked if they didn't draft at least one guy at receiver.
When do
I'd
you
hope
expect
so.
it?
I don't have any
Second round?
expectations.
Okay.
I really don't, because I don't think there's any clue. We don't have any clue what they're going to do. So it's hard to know what evaluations they have on guys who they feel like fit into their systems.
Yeah.
I would imagine one of their first 3 picks is on a wide receiver, but I don't know that.
Right.
I mean, Coach Mack, we're going to talk to at 720, says he's got 14 or so receivers in the top 100. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you could get one at 72 that's probably a number 2 level guy on this team the second he walks in the door.
Yeah. We're almost at a point now with this move that was made yesterday to sign Chris Moore. To sign Chris Moore, that this kind of deads the idea that you're going to move up in the draft. Because that means you got to give up more capital. See what I'm saying? As far as if you go up to 3,
Yeah.
You kind of dead the conversation that you got to give up more. Well, that you're gonna miss out on getting guys in the 2nd and 3rd round is what I'm saying by giving up this capital to move up for a quarterback. I'd much rather stay where you are, select best available at 11, and then have a solid 2nd round guy too. If best available at 11 is a wide receiver. Or move down if somebody want to play with you also.
Because then you could get an additional pick.
Yeah, because they need more.
I know.
To this point of like stocking this room up with
Right.
like a bunch of talent. If you give up this first rounder now and also got to give up the second rounder this year, you're picking a third round wide receiver with the quarterback with still not enough protection to move forward down the line. This has to be a building block draft for this team this year. That's why I'm saying moving up to give up the 11th and also your second round and maybe a first rounder next year, depending on where you trade up to, hurts this team more in the long run than it does the right now. It's the way I look at it. I need all picks. I need to be moving back before I move forward is where I'm at.
Yeah. I'm with you.
To play devil's advocate,
I love that.
none of those guys really matter if you don't have an elite quarterback to help them long term. So if you feel like your long-term elite quarterback is in this class, go for it.
My thing is this. 21 and 20 for Tannehill was very solid. We had strong conversation about Tannehill being the top 10
That's right.
quarterback in this league. And I think everybody agreed when he had weapons.
And A.J. Brown.
Not
he
just
had-
weapons. When he had protection.
Yeah, right.
So that's why I say, and I like the idea of Anthony Richardson. You want to be faster, go get Anthony Richardson. I think there's some stock in that. But what is Anthony Richardson going to have in front of him? The same exact thing that Ryan Tannehill does.
Similar.
What's more important?
Anthony Richardson's not starting this year if he comes here, in my opinion, unless you trade away Tannehill. So let's make that clear.
Unless you. So who's trading for Tannehill?
Exactly.
You know
Nobody
what I'm
this
saying?
year. I would be. I'm very surprised if that happened this year.
Unless Aaron Rodgers falls through, I guess.
Coming up
New York.
on this morning's show, we'll revisit our conversation with Bill Connelly of ESPN, who scouted the fatal flaws in each of the top 4 quarterbacks. Coach Dave McGinnis making his draft board with Rhett Bryan. We'll get his thoughts on what the week leading up to the draft looks like. What is still left in the process for scouts and for new general manager Rand Carthon. Our good friend Brad Crawford from 247 Sports at 8:20 this morning. Bryant McFadden of CBS Sports at 9:20. Loaded show. We'll get things started coming up next. It's Ramon, Kalen, Will, 104.5 The Zone.
It's April, and it's time for Old School Vapors 420 sale. Today is actually April 20th. That's right, April 19th through the 22nd, all products at Old School Vapor will be at least 25% off. Plus, they're giving away free items. If you spend $30, $60, or $100, you're guaranteed to get something for free.
And on top of those awesome offers, you can also get the popular Elf bars that we always talk about. Any variety right now, 2 for just $33.99. While you're there, make sure to check out the wide selection of Esco bars, glass pipes, smell-proof bags, and so much more. You can go to Old School Vapor's selection of over 200 legal CBD products. They've got brands like Looper, Torch, Hidden Hills, and much more.
They have also too, Kayla, the most knowledgeable staff you'll find, and they will help you decide what products are best for you and even your fur babies. You can visit oldschoolvapor.com, check them out on Instagram, or Google Old School Vapor to find your nearest location. It's 4 of them, Franklin, both ends of Spring Hill and Columbia, and more to come soon. That's Old School Vapor. And some of these products contain nicotine, which is an addictive chemical. You must be 21 years older to purchase, and no sales to minors.
Thursday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, and it's powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 1 week away from the beginning of the NFL Draft. As we hear from ESPN's Bill Connelly on the fatal flaws around each of the top 4 quarterbacks. Coach Dave McGinnis this morning at 7:20, Brad Crawford at 8:20, and Bryant McFadden. Wonder if he hates the Titans, Ramon.
No.
Okay. 9:20. BMAC, former Steeler, and now working for CBS Sports. I'm curious if some of these guys are as tired of mock drafts as maybe the general public is.
Yeah.
1 week away is a nice checkpoint for us to get to today.
Man, getting to the weekend is where probably a lot of people are on these mock drafts, dog. Just like, get me through this.
I think some people like doing them. I was talking to Joshua Perry last night, and he was like, as much as I hate seeing other people's mock drafts, like, I kind of like making my own.
Yeah.
That's fair. It's kind of like brackets. Like making your own, hate seeing everyone else's.
Ooh, fantasy teams. That's another one.
Fantasy football also.
Or when Will brags about his betting winnings. That's another one.
I don't really do that on the show. Yeah. I didn't say what my big win was a couple weeks ago.
Joking with you.
Yeah, that's right. What are we doing?
No.
Bill Connelly of ESPN joined us. He discussed the fatal flaws in each of the top 4 quarterbacks and why the flaw for C.J. Stroud doesn't exactly equate to the fall he is now taking at the top of everyone's draft boards. Here's Bill Connelly with us on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Wanted to start with the guy that has been the topic of conversation in the NFL draft at the quarterback position this week, and C.J. Stroud falling a little bit. I know you wrote about his kind of flaw in his game and not facing as much pressure or just not dealing with pressure, similar to the way Hassan Haskins and Justin Fields were when they entered the league. Is his flaw enough reason to fall like he has this week?
Yeah, I'm not convinced. Until we actually see that he's fallen, I'm not completely convinced of it. We always see smoke screens and whatnot around this time, but it wouldn't make any sense to me at all. I mean, his biggest flaw isn't necessarily a flaw so much as an unknown. We don't know how he would handle, if he ends up with the Texans or whatever, how he would handle, what bad habits he might develop because of pressure and whatnot, because he has had a lower degree of difficulty in college in the Ohio State system. It's just a perfectly spaced offense with obviously, receiver talent that immediately goes to the pros and thrives. So, I mean, it's certainly – he's had it a little easier than other quarterbacks, but I don't think it's necessarily a flaw. We just don't know how he'll handle it because we haven't seen it.
And Bill, isn't it weird too that we're talking about him and Bryce Young, yet it's the Alabama quarterback that didn't have the best supporting cast around him? Like, when's the last time we could say that?
Yeah, it is kind of funny. I had to measure what I was writing in that piece, talking about all the adversity that Bryce Young faced last year. Like he still had 3 all-conference linemen in front of him and very receivers who are better than most, but it was still a step down from what he had in 2021. And the fact that he produced almost identical rate stats with a diminished supporting cast, however diminished it was or wasn't, was still very impressive.
Anthony Richardson's stock has just continued to rise. But one thing that you pointed out and that we all know if you watched him play this past year is he's just not very accurate. And you saying in this article may never be accurate enough. I mean, you can't always teach something like that. What's the best case scenario for him to maybe fix something like that? Like what team maybe he sits behind a quarterback for a year?
Yeah, I've kind of accepted over time. Like that's always what I see when we see a situation like this, redshirt a year, basically sit behind a veteran and get your coaching on the sideline and all that stuff. But if you're drafted in the top 10, you're probably playing. And it's pretty clear he's going to get drafted in the top 10. So I think that would be best. But at this point, I've accepted that it's probably not realistic. I think it is funny. I mean, a quarterback's coach, every single NFL quarterback's coach is going to watch his film and watch his inconsistent footwork and all that stuff and immediately think, well, I can fix that.
Yes.
And a lot of them are going to be wrong for thinking that. A lot of them have been wrong for thinking that about other prospects through the years. But it is, if the potential is there, the way he avoids pressure and uses his athleticism in a way that Will Levis doesn't, to be honest. Will Levis doesn't avoid pressure at all. Even before his injuries last year in 2021, he wasn't very good at that either. He does seem to be the quarterback a lot of people think they see in Will Levis, and I'm very curious who takes which quarterback or who talks themselves into either at this point.
Yeah, and on the note of Will Levis, we've talked so much about him in this market specifically, right up the road in Kentucky. And just there was so much inconsistency last year. I get the year before he looked really good, but I mean, talk about some of the things that you've seen with him in terms of the weakness and how it looks to be maybe even more overpowering than his strengths.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. We do have to acknowledge last season, his receiving core was led by 2 freshmen. He did have, foot injuries, ankle injuries, whatnot that, you think about throwing a football in a crowded pocket, those things are going to matter quite a bit. And his numbers were diminished a lot because of that. But again, I tried to draw the point in the piece about, if you're drafting Will Levis, you're not doing it because he was good in 2021. Stroud and Young were better in 2021 as well, but you're doing it because of his potential and his athleticism and his big arm. So I did have to point out that his deep ball stats were worse than anybody else's among the top prospects. And again, he, while he can build a head of steam and really kind of look pretty scary trying to tackle him in the open field, he didn't use his athleticism to avoid sacks very well at all. And, even by Josh Allen's standards in that regard, his numbers at Wyoming were pretty mediocre, but he was at least flashing better athleticism than what Levis did even in 2021.
ESPN's Bill Connelly with us this morning on Ramon Kalen. Will.
Bill, we were talking yesterday about Peyton Manning's comments about Will Levis, saying he was genetically engineered in the lab, I think is what that was, right? And I think you throw Anthony Richardson in that conversation too. When he said that, I was of the understanding that probably wasn't a compliment, because does that actually translate over into the NFL the way we think it does in this pre-draft conversation?
Yeah, I mean, like 6'4", 229, whatever his measurements are, good arm. Like I definitely see the potential is very clear to see, and so I don't want to say he's guaranteed to fail or anything like that, but you do, when it comes to actual quarterback instincts, let's say, it's clear that he's behind other guys on this list, and he's going to have to make up ground in that regard. Bryce Young, the way he moves around and his quick release, you could almost say some of his best traits come because he wasn't genetically engineered in a lab to play quarterback, and he had to account for those things in some ways. But yeah, it is hard to draw a line here. I definitely do not see Will Levis as a top 10 prospect by any means, but he was still good when healthy at Kentucky, and he could still thrive under the right situation. I just think there's a lot less margin for error there than there is with other guys.
On the side of Bryce, the idea that he's too small. He's been that way his entire life. Is there any credit given to a guy that's weathered the storm at Alabama in the SEC with the potential of doing it in the NFL? I think the same conversation was had about Devontae Smith, right? That was drafted to the Eagles last year. Do you get any kind of prize for weathering that storm because of size now?
Yeah, I mean, the Devontae Smith's a good example is a good one because he's a skinny dude too. I do think, anytime you can't come up with a precedent, I understand why there would be hesitation in that regard. The fact that, whatever he was, 5'10", 204, something like that. That's even a little bit smaller than Kyler Murray, who, A, is very small, and B, was a good enough athlete to also be drafted in the Major League Baseball top 10 of the MLB draft. Young's not quite that level of athlete, so you do wonder. I mean, he's 2 inches shorter than Drew Brees, and Drew Brees fell in the draft because he was too short. So it is always going to be a moment of hesitation when you just don't have a comparison for a guy who was that small and really, really successful. Also, he was small for college, and he thrived, and he barely ever took any big hits whatsoever, which you would think means it kind of minimizes the risk of being only 204 or whatever. I understand any sort of hesitation that comes from the measurements, but I watched him play the last 2 years too, and he was absolutely incredible.
With how this group of quarterbacks is kind of shaping up, I do have to ask it because I just have on my orange tinted glasses. If Hendon didn't have the ACL, how strong of a conversation to be in that top 4 conversation as far as draft goes with the quarterbacks?
been under the assumption that the age thing was going to be a problem for him anyway. Just the fact that he is quite a bit older, that you could get Anthony Richardson, who's whatever he is, 3 or 4 years younger, and have more time to develop him and all that. So I think that was going to hold him back. And I am curious at this point what NFL scouts and general managers and whatever feel about Josh Heupel's offense. Drew Lock came from Josh Heupel's offense, and he hasn't been just amazing at the next level despite producing huge numbers. It does feel like, it's kind of funny talking about this in this way. Like it's a massive compliment to Josh Heupel that he's basically created a cheat code of an offense for college, but it almost seems to hurt the view of his guys at the next level because it was just too easy for them. The offense was just too good, and that doesn't make a lot of sense. But I do feel like there are a lot of easy reads in the Tennessee offense, the way he uses the slot receivers deep in a way that somehow nobody else really does in college. It does seem like he had a lot of easy throws. That's going to hold him back. I was also very curious with Hooker. In terms of sack avoidance, we know he's fast. We know what he can do in the open field when healthy. He also seemed to trust his instincts way too much and took a lot of hits because of it. And you figure that's a problem at the next level too, when you don't have quite as many easy throws.
Bill Connelly, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Bill, looking ahead a little bit to Drake May and Caleb Williams, just kind of a ballpark guess at this point. Where would those guys rank among this top four? Do you feel like teams like Houston are maybe incentivized to go best available wherever they are because of the draft class that's on deck?
Yeah, I think Caleb Williams, if he was out this year, he would go number one. He's not huge either, but he's at least 3 inches taller than Bryce Young. Just won the Heisman, obviously. You can't help but see Patrick Mahomes in him, for better or worse, when you're watching him just drift out of the pocket and buy time and make some weird arm angle throw for a 30-yard gain or whatever. I do figure he would have gone number one. Drake May's an interesting one, though, because I don't know where he would have gone this year. I think anybody talking themselves into Will Levis would have had a pretty good case to talk themselves into him instead. But now he gets an interesting opportunity this coming year, opportunity or threat really, in that new offense, kind of a different offense. Chip Lindsey is not Phil Longo, and we'll see exactly what changes are made in that regard, and new receiving core, all these things. He gets a chance to prove adaptability in a lot of ways, but downside of that is it might not work as well, and his stock might fall because of it.
All this to say, Bill, if Joe Milton is just like 75% of as good as he could be, we might be talking about number one overall pick Joe Milton next year, right?
Oh, we've kind of been talking ourselves into his arm for like 5 years now. And the way he looked against Clemson certainly didn't help tamp down any hype. So we'll see. Obviously, we have been here. We watched him. His first game at Michigan was amazing, and then it tailed off quickly. He made throws early in whatever that was, 2021, and then tailed off. So he has the opportunity on the table, and his arm's amazing, but obviously he needs to live up to the hype this time.
When it's all said and done, but when it comes to the NFL draft, I feel like we're always going to continue to see quarterbacks hyped up more than they should be because when it comes down to it, it's the QB position, right?
Yeah, there's the financial incentives, too, with the way the rookie contract, the structure is. Like, if you can get a cheap, awesome quarterback, it's just worth the risk. Even if you're not completely convinced that Anthony Richardson's ever going to work out, if you hit on Anthony Richardson, number one, you're going to have a job the rest of your life. And number two, you're going to win a lot of games because he's going to be on a pretty small salary for quite a few years. So, yeah, the incentives are there. Obviously, even before the contract, the new structure of contracts was in place. Obviously, teams continued to talk themselves into quarterbacks before that as well, and not all of them worked out. One thing I definitely learned over time, especially with the 2018 class with Mayfield and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and everybody else, is just that the team is going to determine this as much as the player. Being able to not only identify the right quarterback, but then put him in the position to get the most out of him. Clearly, a lot of teams aren't very good at that, and other teams have proven very good, and that's gonna be a lot of the battle right there.
This question may come with a laugh, but I think it's very fair. Okay. Brock Purdy's doing his thing right now as Mr. Irrelevant. a guy similar maybe could be Stetson Bennett, 2-time national champion. Why are we not talking about Stetson Bennett right now?
Well,
See, there's the laugh.
There's
the laugh.
No, I mean, I really had to watch myself in the piece because when the first part of that piece I wrote yesterday was just the raw stats, the college stats, and when you look at those for all these top guys, it's Stroud, Young, and Bennett. Those are the three that stand out, that leap off the page, and Hooker to a certain degree as well. It was pretty clear how successful he was. But the age thing is an issue. He's older like Hooker is. And, I mean, you're just never going to be blown away by physical traits. I was talking about, Young being small at 5'10", 204, and Stetson Bennett, I think, was 5'11", 195 or something. He was a walk-on, and he's always going to be kind of slowed down by that. And he still produced. He had a better deep ball than Will Levis did. His velocity is about as good as Will Levis's as well. So wherever he lands, it is going to be interesting to see if he gets an opportunity and what he makes of it. But I at least understand why his stock's not higher, even if I think he might have a hint of potential.
It is crazy, Bill. I thought the guy would be drafted to sell rental cars in North Georgia instead of the NFL draft, but it is unbelievable what he's been able to do. Looking at these guys, and specifically the top four, Bill, just on the way out, who do you feel like is the biggest risk and has maybe the lowest floor of these top four quarterbacks?
Yeah, I still think actually, I should say Richardson might have the lowest floor, but he probably does have the highest ceiling as well. Levis. I'm still not convinced of that. I still don't see what I'm supposed to see in Levis in terms of ceiling and floor. I don't feel his ceiling is as high as some of these other guys, and his floor is probably lower as well. So that one's been a struggle for me, which stinks because he was fun to watch, and he seems like a pretty fun personality too. I just don't see what I'm supposed to see.
So there he is, Bill Connelly of ESPN with us discussing each of the top four quarterbacks. We'll continue that discussion and take a look at the NFL headlines coming up next as we continue our number one on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, 104.5 The Zone.
Season tickets for the Prez 2023-24 season are on sale now. The Prez will be celebrating their 25th anniversary throughout the 23-24 season. You can get full, half, and quarter season plans right now. You can join the Loyal Legion today and receive the best seat location at the best pricing, up to 50% off discounts on concessions throughout the entire season, up to 6 bonus tickets to select games in the 23-24 season, priority access to the 2023 NHL Draft and Awards hosted right here in Nashville. Exclusive season ticket citizens gifts throughout the season also. You can learn more at NashvillePredators.com/season tickets.
Join 104.5 The Zone's Ramon, Kayla, and Will broadcasting live tomorrow from 8th and Roast to help raise money for LLS in the fight against blood cancer. Stop by, purchase a coffee, and a portion of the proceeds will go directly to Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. For more details, visit 1045thezone.com. 8th and Roast tomorrow morning. Be there.
It's going to be great to have the best coffee in Nashville. Mm-hmm. Hang out with the people tomorrow at 8th and Rose for a great cause. So hope you'll come by and see us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're going to have to be on our best behavior because I imagine there will still be people like studying for
there
exams.
Always are.
Writing papers.
Oh, you serious?
Because it's the 12th South kind of location.
Okay.
I go in there before every NSC game. And there are always, just any coffee shop you go into, there's always people working. So we will also join them in working, just a different kind of work.
Maybe they can learn a thing or two. Maybe they have a project on, a paper on sports that they're going to have to write, and then they can just take direct quotes from us.
Oh, I'm sure they've got their own mock drafts.
I was going to say.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to ask a few of the people.
Maybe some of them were part of the thousands that have had draft blogs in Mobile at the Senior Bowl.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's going to be
What are you trying to say, Will?
No, it's just I said it in the moment when we were down there of like everyone has a draft blog.
Yeah, they do. I never took into account coffee shops with people like work. I always thought it was like just leisure. I never took into account.
Studying for many of those coffee shops is a part of it, the atmosphere.
Do coffee shops do like hospitals or whatever? If some people like pumping extra amount of like air and AC to get you going type of stuff. It ain't none of that you think like, or is it just like the smell of the coffee beans?
They ain't gonna tell you if they do.
Free internet.
Yeah, free internet. There it is.
Free internet.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you could get
that now.
a cup of water.
Yeah. Oh, that
It's
sounds
just
like
fine to see.
I was gonna say that sounds like a pro tip right there, Kayla.
I'm not saying I ever did that. I'd at least get a black coffee.
Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
Right?
That's where I went.
That's gotta be racist.
Even in
I
high
knew
school,
that was coming.
Even in high school, that's where I would go to do homework. Like if I had a long like research paper.
Yeah.
Like I had like a 7-page research paper like junior year of high school or something that I just went to the Starbucks in Brentwood and just like sat there for 3 hours.
Really?
Until I was done. That was like after practice, like after school.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
That was where I was at my most productive. More so than like the Thornton Center at Tennessee. Like I would go to this coffee shop where one of my fraternity brothers was one of the like not baristas, but like coffee guys.
Yeah.
And he would give me whatever I wanted and just charge me for a black coffee. And
Oh,
so I
that's
would go
dope.
there all the time and just like
Well, there you
do all
go.
my work.
Yeah, I can't do stuff at most settings like that. If it's me by myself, okay.
Yeah.
But you get one or two people doing a study group, there's no way we're getting work done. There is no freaking way. We'd have that at the center up at Washington State, where we'd all just go to do study groups. That was never, ever work.
Yeah.
That was just us getting off on tangents and then me people watching, and you know how it goes.
So it's basically this show without the people watching.
Pretty
Right.
much.
Right.
I could never work in the library though. I showed my boys this past weekend the library at UT. I was like, that building right there is the library.
Some would say with your transcript, you never went into the
I
library.
did.
Did you ever rent a book?
I always at the Thornton Center. Yes, I have. I rented
Which
books
book?
and
I
stuff
never
like
did.
that. Couldn't
You can't
tell
remember?
Probably couldn't tell you, but I know we had to do some research and stuff. And I was in there in one of those private rooms. You know how they have those on like the upper floors and stuff. I couldn't work. The light
Too quiet.
too quiet. My eyes catching everybody walking by and stuff, and I'm just like, goodness.
Totally with you on that.
I can't work in a library.
Really?
I'd much rather be in my
I couldn't
room with
either.
music playing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it though. Some people be in there just head down driving, just going to work. I couldn't
I fall
do
asleep. Let's just be honest. I'll fall asleep. The head will go down in the book at some point.
Yeah.
I've got to have something to keep me, my
It was
brain
music
stimulated.
For me, I'd much
Yeah,
rather study with
me
music
too.
in the background than be in a quiet library.
And access to food.
Do y'all know if like now you can still pull books from the library? Or is it all
Yeah.
digital on
I'm sure.
universities?
Oh, yeah, you got to
still
have
can? Okay.
Yeah, you better have that library.
I never did, but
Yeah.
I kind of
Good.
liked it. Like, at least like finding books and be like, oh, cool. I got to check out a library book. As a kid, I did all the time.
when I was there, you could just get all your books on Amazon. So at that point, like you didn't have to like actually go through university. You could just find the cheapest option online, and then you were good.
It's the new world.
That makes so much sense. Yeah, we had to go to the UT bookstore at the UC underneath
Oh, yeah.
underneath
Right.
in the basement.
We
and
still did that too.
You still did, but
Yeah.
you could source your books.
If you couldn't
up.
find it on Amazon or something, yeah, that's what I would do.
Wow. It's changed. That's the reason I asked, could you still check out books? Because it's so much digital now that you don't even have
Well,
to.
the library is more research, right? So if you've got like research papers, that's what
Yeah.
I remember going to the library for. You've got to like go back
Yeah.
and find some of these books that are extremely detailed about a subject.
That's very true.
So anyway, tomorrow, 8th and Roast, where we will be. If you are or aren't writing a research paper, we'd love to see you.
Yeah, come out and again, just about a week and a half left of this campaign.
Yeah.
So just come out, support that. You can talk to us. We don't get to see many people because we're in this room all the time. So
All the time.
take advantage of it and then go get your tickets for the LLS event on Tuesday. Guys, let's sell that place out. It's going to be a great event. Songwriters, Mike Vrabel in the house. So if you haven't purchased them, go to 3rd and Lindsley.
So we've got Coach Dave McGinnis coming up at 7:20. And speaking of the different technologies and different processes of doing things, I'm interested how a week out from the draft, how is the process different now than it was when Coach Dave McGinnis was the coach of the Bears for 8 hours and didn't know it for 4? What's the number he gives? Is that right?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's something like that. So Coach Mack will join us at 7:20. We'll dive into the NFL headlines and the Titans' newest wide receiver. Coming up next as Hour 2 begins on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Wow.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson from 104.5 The Zone's morning show, Ramon, Kayla, and Will, and I am a proud participant in this year's Visionaries of the Year campaign for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and I have a special friend with me now, Olivia. You are battling this as we speak, and I know that treatments, they're not easy, right? And Dare to Dream, that's a campaign that is pushing for safer treatments for younger people just like you. How old are you? 10 years old, and it's not easy going through this. Can you talk about what it's been like?
It's been just really hard with all the needles, treatment, medicine, all that.
Yeah, and this is something that you are going to win. You're going to win this battle, but we need all the help we can get to get the education out there. Our Dare to Dream campaign for, again, safer use in some of the things that are being done with the treatment. So Olivia, we always appreciate your time and we are proud of you. You are going to continue this fight and you can always donate. Every dollar counts. Just click on that QR code at the top of Zone TV, or you can just visit the Zone's website at 1045thezone.com.
7:01. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. The Titans have added a veteran wide receiver, agreeing to terms with Chris Moore. Moore spent 7 seasons between the Ravens and the Texans. He posted career highs in receptions and yards last season with the Texans. He's also been a kick returner throughout his career. To the NBA, the Memphis Grizzlies evened up their first-round playoff series with the Lakers, beating LA 103-93. The Grizz did it without Ja Morant. 6 players scored double-digit points, with Xavier Tillman leading the team with 22. The series tied at 1 game apiece as it shifts to L.A. for Game 3. And to Major League Baseball, the Braves' winning streak was stopped at 8 games. San Diego shut out Atlanta yesterday 1-0. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Into hour number 2 this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Full crew is here with Coach Trey McGinnis coming up in 15 minutes. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Jonathan Schaefer making the show happen.
The best producer in the world.
My name is Will Bowling. 615-737-1045, the number. Titans signing wide receiver Chris Moore yesterday afternoon, a 4th-round pick in 2016 of the Baltimore Ravens, coming off a career season with 548 yards last year for the Houston Texans. That's the headline here in Music City, and the headline on the West Coast is at 12:30 a.m. Central Time, 10:30 local time. The city of Oakland lost its 3rd pro sports franchise in the last 10 years.
Bye-bye.
Oakland A is headed to Vegas.
That's tough.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Vegas was going to be a sports city the way they are. If you think about it, it's the land of opportunity and dreams and all that type of stuff, right? I didn't think they'd be this aggressive, but Oakland did not. And I mean did not. I don't know if y'all have ever visited the Coliseum out there.
Oh, yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah.
And they made no effort to do anything about it.
Look, the only thing that's getting crowded in Oakland is the airport, okay? Other than that, it's losing all their teams. This is going to be the last pro team that's left.
Mm-hmm.
You saw the writing on the wall because they weren't willing to improve or knock down and build a different facility for baseball. It happened with football. And then on the other side, Vegas has blown up in terms of a sports market. It's still pretty much the Strip and a little bit outside of it because there's not much in Vegas if you've ever been outside of Vegas.
Yeah.
But they're doing enough because they've got the what? They got the money.
They do have the money and the land. Like you said, it's a desert. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do to build out there. But as far as them building this up to the old days of Vegas, they're trying to make this the end-all, be-all sports type of city. Mm-hmm. You get gambling. You get the sports. You get the entertainment.
Yep.
And it's also, you still technically get, we can call it the West Coast. You're accessible to L.A. or to at least California.
I'm not going to put them in my region, but close.
But as far as you and my Californians coming over to Vegas to watch a game, you're still going to support them.
It's a quick plane flight.
It's a quick plane flight.
And it's a destination.
Yeah. Kind
of like how Nashville has become, where people are going to come to town to visit, and then they're going to go catch a ball game.
Yep. You can get everything you're looking for in Vegas. You can gamble on the game you're watching. They got DJ booths and clubs inside the arenas. Yeah. Sounds like Nashville.
Right.
Except
Nash Vegas?
Nash Vegas.
That's why they come together as one.
It is. It really is.
But at least in Nashville, there aren't possums that are living in the stadiums.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
It's been happening since last May.
Uh-oh.
Like, what is that?
There is a possum that is living in the visitors' radio booth.
And they won't let them in.
And since last May. Well, they've tried to catch it, and they can't.
That's fantastic.
The possum is living within the walls and the crevices of
Gross.
Oakland Coliseum.
That
It's
sounds
disgusting.
Sounds like single-A minor league baseball.
Oh, it really does.
Terrible.
I feel bad for Tony Kemp, but maybe he'll get to go to Vegas before he's done in the MLB.
It says 2027.
I just read an article, and the title was "The Oakland A's Stink Worse Than Possum Poop." Like, there's conversation about this being the worst baseball team of all time in the history of Major League Baseball, and in the worst ballpark of all time.
But what I know, I don't know their history like that. Maybe you guys do a little bit better than me. But as far as like what I thought of like the Oakland A's, like the symbol of like their jersey, like it's very known, and it had to be a portion of their history where they were good.
Moneyball's based on it.
Is it based on the Oakland A's?
Yeah.
Jeez, I mean, legitimately. How do you just decide to tank out of it, the city? So this is more the city of Oakland, not necessarily the team.
There is blame to be
I think
shared.
it's on all ends,
It's on all ends. How do you?
except for if you're a player, you don't really have anything to do with
Yeah,
it.
you really got nothing to do with it. I'll say this then: I'd much rather be in Vegas than I would Oakland at this
Me
point.
too.
Though.
So their payroll is, I think, their total payroll of the entire team is $60.4 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2 players in the New York Mets.
Okay, what's Tampa Bay's though? A winning franchise has been pretty
Tampa's
stable,
is
and they don't have a
down
huge.
there.
Yeah,
They don't have a
Tampa's
huge
28th
payroll.
in payroll.
But look at they win, and they don't have anyone coming to their stadium.
Yeah.
They've not invested anything.
Nope.
$75 million for Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Oakland is last with $60 million.
Highest paid player.
They have prospects though.
It's crazy. Tampa's roster is $7 million for baseball. That's low.
Yeah, but real good organization if you think about the stability in the last 6-7 years.
Yeah.
You know, they've been pretty consistent.
Wow.
Yeah, they have they have a Cy Young winner making $737,000 this season, and Shane McClanahan.
Right?
What?
Legitimately. Yeah.
The active payroll for Tampa Bay is $49 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right.
Whoa.
Hey, if you
Meanwhile,
want
the
to
New
come
York
to Nashville.
Mets, who are still winless in World Series since 1986, in case
welcome
we were
back,
still
Will.
counting at home. Hey, thanks. $346.5 million
Highest?
is
Oh, yeah.
And they had one of their guys making a lot of money get kicked out for having a sticky substance on his glove yesterday.
I heard about
Max
that.
Scherzer.
Scherzer, yeah. He said it was sweat and rosin.
It's hilarious.
That it
That's what Scherzer
was.
said.
I love it.
Scherzer's always trying to find the loophole, isn't he?
He is a nice guy, by the way.
Is he?
He really
lo-
is.
He looks like
In
a
person.
psycho. I'm
He's
gonna
a
be
really
honest
nice
with
guy.
you. Is he?
Mhm.
I get a strong psycho
is.
vibe from him.
He get up
No,
on
I'm
that
serious.
mound.
He's a nice guy.
Is he? Oh, I believe you. I'm just telling you what. Like he get up on that mound, I'm like, this dude is crazy. I guess as a pitcher, you gotta have a little
crazy.
Yeah, you
They're a little
got to.
weird.
Man. Well, Will. I mean, the Braves are 8th in payroll. Will, come on now.
What about it?
But they've
What
been
point are you
winning.
making?
They're up there, is what I'm saying.
Of course
they're
they are.
up there.
They're a good franchise with good ownership now.
Oakland A's.
They weren't for a while. It's good now.
Can I say this? If Vegas is now kind of making the move and Oakland is making the move, like, okay, we're going to move. The other franchise that was talking about moving was Tampa Bay. And the possibility to maybe come to Nashville has been talked about. So maybe that moves the ball a little.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Nashville MLB thing still to me has no legitimate legs. We're still so far away from that being genuine, like something that could happen.
Because of
There's no money.
no money.
The money of the ownership here and the group that is trying to bring baseball to Nashville has like what 10% of the money you would actually need to realistically do it.
So what
And
would
they've-
they need?
Well, they'd need to first make stadium renderings on land that they own, and not just on land that the city owns that they're never going to just be given,
Which was pretty funny.
which was
fair.
wild.
That's fair.
Like, do you realize how long it took for Nashville SC to put out renderings of Geodis Park? Like when they were starting to build the stadium. Like they
tough.
started with a stadium rendering on land they don't own that's like next to the river that is right next to Nissan Stadium. Like it just made no sense.
Down by the river.
That's right. Well, in a van down by the river.
Wasn't TSU a possibility, like somewhere on the TSU property?
I
I don't know anything about that. They gonna
There's
have to pay
nothing legitimate to that to me that like makes me think it's on the doorstep. The only thing genuine about MLB to Nashville is the fact that Rob Manfred and the league is apparently tentatively interested.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would love it, but it's so far away
Right
from being
now,
a possibility.
If you're the league, Nashville, you're able to use as leverage for any negotiating tactics you have with current teams, and you can also use it as bait for possible expansion. Right now, for the league, Nashville is better as a concept than a reality.
Interesting.
Montreal deserves to get a team back before Nashville does anyway.
I don't know if I'll go with
I don't think that will happen, though.
I think it probably will. I think Montreal is like the first city in line, and then maybe Charlotte or Portland.
Canadians, who needs that?
Portland doesn't have the money either.
It's crazy. They already got names for it.
And I don't think
also.
Portland
And they don't
honestly has the appetite for a Major League Baseball
They ain't
team.
supporting a baseball team. They couldn't even support a AAA team
Yeesh.
just to go out and like Nashville Sounds do. They're great, right? They sell out. They couldn't do that ever. Like nobody went to those games.
Aren't they the ones with the pickle mascot that got in trouble last year or something?
Who?
Do you remember that?
Oh,
Minor
no,
League
I
Baseball?
don't think
Oh
that's
no,
Portland.
Portland left a long
Who are
time
the
ago.
Pickles?
Yeah, but they
left
started
a long
one
time
in
ago.
Hillsborough, north of Portland.
did?
Yeah, they started.
Oh,
in
the
minor league
Hillsborough
team.
Hilltoppers?
Yeah, it might be that.
Kayla, you're correct in the Tennessee State side of where they want to do this at. Dave Stewart is the guy that's
The
ahead of
Portland
this.
Pickles.
He said this, right now our focus is Tennessee State, and there's a lot of land there for us to do this development. I think it's a great project for North Nashville area and its residents. I'm going to be honest with you. Don't push those people out. Don't do that. Don't do that. I love the idea that, yes, a lot of land over there, but what happens next is you crush a side of town. All right, he's probably right. Like, there needs to be equal benefit if they're going to try to go do something on that side of the town like that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. They did say that, Kayla. That's the portion of the city they're eyeballing. Yep.
Coming up next, we shift the conversation back to the NFL and the Titans draft with the head coach of Titans Radio, Coach Dave McGinnis. What are general managers and scouts doing now 1 week away from the draft? What is this week without visits, without more calls with prospects? What takes place now in the final stages of the preparation? And we'll get his thoughts on how his preparation with Rhett Bryant is going as well for draft coverage that is 1 week away right here on Titans Radio on 104.5 The Zone. Coach Mack, our resident head coach, joins us next on 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon Foss from MyPhDWeightLoss.com. I was actually talking to my buddy just a second ago about this journey that I'm going on with my PhD weight loss. I'll tell you what, this weekend I ended up going to the UT football game, and I'll tell you this, I was more comfortable with everything that was going on. My clothes fit properly. My guys was like, "Mom, you look good." I was like, "Appreciate it, man. I'm on this journey." I actually recently had to endorse it to a really good friend of mine in another state. And when they were asking me how I was losing my weight, I was like, man, my PhDWeightLoss.com. It was like, well, I got to check this out. And I'm telling you, if you've been thinking about this the same way I have been, check this out for yourself. Visiting my PhD Weight Loss, where on average, most male clients lose between 3 to 5 pounds a week. Most female clients lose between 2 to 3 pounds a week. I'll say this too. This isn't a journey that you're on by yourself. You have a weekly call, a coach that you schedule your updates with and help you plan out your weekends. If you're traveling, what you need to take with you, how you need to eat. And if you don't have your products with you, guess what? You have substitutes, and they can guide you through that. It is a plan specifically built for you and no one else. It works. I've seen it work for other people. It's working for myself also. If you're thinking about doing this, visit, again, I tell you, my PhD Weight Loss, and make that change. Just start it. I promise you, you will not regret it. MyPhDWeightLoss.com. And be sure to tell them that Ramon sent you.
Hour number 2 continues on Remote Kayla and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. And our weekly visit with Coach Dave McGinnis is presented by Farm Bureau Health Plans. Better rates, better coverage, and better service. That's why Tennesseans have been relying on Farm Bureau Health Plans for their health coverage for 75 years. As we welcome in the one and only Coach Dave McGinnis. What's up, Coach Mac?
Well, good morning. Good morning, Ramon, Kayla. How are we doing?
Hey,
Good,
Coach.
Coach.
We are ready to put away the mock drafts and begin the real thing, Coach Mac. What is this last week like from the general manager, head coach, and scouts perspective? What is the final step in a draft process that will begin here shortly?
No, this is the final week of 30 visits. But now at this time, now you're going to get in. You're going to gather all your medical people, for final medical checks. I mean, that's important. With your trainers and with your doctors. That will be a meeting that the head coach and the general manager will have with those people specifically, just to double check and go back over everybody that's on your board, anything that has come up since the last time that you convened, or to get follow-ups on things that were checked at the combine. That's something that's very, very important. What the scouts will be doing right now, guys, is as simple as it sounds. They're calling they divide up. Of course, the area scouts divide up the country, but they will call all of the people that are on their boards to get open line draft day numbers, because that's important. Because especially when you get to the later rounds, when you've got 5 minutes between picks, if once about 10 minutes before you're on the clock, you got to be sure that you can get a hold of people that you've got in your bullpen and say, hey, keep this line clear for this amount. Keep this line clear this amount of time, and everybody else does it too. But you have to have those numbers, because one of the worst things that could ever happen. I mean, I've never encountered it, in all the years I've been in draft rooms, but you can just imagine the panic if you want to pick somebody and you can't get a hold of them. And so that's something that's extremely important. It's different now with all the draft coverage. You see a lot of these guys, but there's still some guys. I mean, you have to do that. So to answer your question, that is what they are doing. That is what they are doing right now. And there's several boards that are always set in every draft room. It's not just one draft board. You've got your primary board, then you've got your back board, and then you've got your what you're looking at that you think might be your priority free agent board, because clearly now that you've delineated where people are going to be, you've got a pretty good idea of some people that may be on the cusp in that 6th or 7th round, because the acquisition of free agents, the way it's done since they've cut the draft down to 7 rounds, is a big thing too. And so all of those things are starting to culminate and come to being. But I'll tell you, the other thing that you do, the draft is on a Thursday, so about Tuesday or Wednesday, then everybody just kind of steps back a little bit, because you need to be well rested and everybody dialed in once draft starts, because once it starts, it starts moving really, really fast. When I first started in the draft, they had 12 rounds in the draft, guys, since I've been in the league, from 86 to 92. There were 12 rounds. And so you had to gear in for a, really, really long issue. Now, once the collective bargaining agreement came in 93, they cut it to 8 rounds. And then in 94, it was 7 rounds, and it's been 7 rounds ever since. It's been different iterations of 7 rounds, depending on the how it's spread out now because of television on the 3 days. We used to go 1 through 3, then 4 would be the second day. I mean, it's been different. Now they do 1, 2, 3, and then 4 through 7.
So, Coach Mack, when you talk about position coaches who will tell their stories about banging their hands on a table to vouch for one player that they specifically like, Rand Carthon even has told this story from his perspective in San Francisco. When does that conversation begin? How much of this last week will include some of these position coaches or scouts vouching for one specific player that they like more than maybe some other guys at one position?
Well, position coaches always get a chance. You always get a chance. Everywhere that I've ever been, there's a time as to when position coaches always get a chance to go over everybody in their position that is on the board. And they get a chance to give their rankings, and they get a chance to give their pluses and minuses on all of their guys. So, whenever that day, I mean, it takes about 3 days to do that. And whenever that is designated, and that comes towards the end. Look, these, draft meetings, guys, are long issues. They really are. Now, I'm talking about draft meetings that have taken place months ago. When you start building a board, I mean, it starts in a progressive state, but draft meetings are long and drawn out. I mean, you start at 8:00 in the morning and you're done at 7:00 at night, with a break for lunch. And so now you get your final say. And so, and some of those, get very interesting. I've been in a lot of them that have. And I'm sure, Rand can tell stories. Rand and I can tell stories about the times we were together at the Rams where but position coaches get their say. They get their say and it may work out and it may not, but at least they get their say as far as who they see, as far as fitting within what you are trying to do, not only in the personnel group, but what you are trying to do, within your offense or your defensive scheme. And then your coordinators, get to talk. So that's all probably taken place. It's probably pretty well done, by now, because this evaluation period, especially for your personnel department, goes on. I mean, they're starting on next year, right now. But your coaches don't get involved until after the season, and so they're trying to catch up. And so, but there is a time when position coaches absolutely get to get up and give their opinion on their group, before the final thing happens.
Mac, going from being an amateur to a pro, meaning from college to the NFL, Coach, you got to start making decisions as far as what your pathway is going to be. Is it frowned upon for guys to say, no, I'm not meeting with any teams outside of the top 10? Or I think Bryce Young also shut down his 30 visit that he was able to take. Is that ever frowned upon?
Ramon, that comes from agents.
Okay.
Yeah, the player's not making that decision.
Okay.
The players, I mean, that.
Yeah.
The players aren't making those types of decisions. Those are strategic decisions made exactly by the representation. And so now the player, you've been a player, you've had an agent, you always have the ability to override.
That's true.
Okay. But as you say, these guys that are coming into it, and they're becoming more and more sophisticated as the years roll on, because you talk about amateurs. Well, it's not quite amateurs anymore, But the thing that happens is they don't know the process. They don't know what the mechanisms are for this. Qualified agents do. They understand this, and so. But any of that type of thing, and mostly that's those are your top people. That doesn't really come into those. That is agent recommended. And then the player clearly has a voice in whether I want to do it or not. And as things start to winnow themselves out, and you start to kind of see where things are going to stack up, sometimes it's counterproductive just to get on a plane and go somewhere just to go somewhere. So anyway, but that type of a thing, Ramon, that's not generated by players.
And I'm hearing you talk about the draft board, the long, drawn-out meetings and discussions you have to have, Coach Mack. But on draft night, anything can happen. We've witnessed that. So what's the discrepancy between drafting for need, Coach, and just saying, man, this is the best available player? How do you make that decision to pass on either one of those or pull the trigger on either one of those, Coach Mack? Best available or need for a team?
Ramon, it depends on what the makeup of your squad is at the time.
Okay.
And where you are in the development of your squad. That means everything. If you're somebody, if you've got a squad that you think is primed, to be able to jump and do something, and you've got everything lined up salary cap wise, and you're in pretty good shape, and things look pretty good as far as depth wise, well then that's a lot different than if you're trying to to redo a roster, or you're trying to refill a roster, or you've had a big exodus of players, or you've had players age out, or you've had salary cap issues that are going to push you away from some players, and you're going to have to refill numbers. It depends on where you are as a franchise at the time. that depends a whole lot on it. And the other thing is too, Ramon, it depends on where you're drafting.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to say, we'll take the best available early because those are easier to identify. I mean, you've done the draft with us now, and you've gone through. I mean, but once you get into those middle rounds, you better have a pretty good idea of who you're looking at. But as you say, the conflict with the middle rounds is players are gone. And your board is constantly shifting. Rhett and I have just gotten through putting together our first vertical horizontal board, and you don't do it by rounds, you do it by pods. You do it by pods of people that if this pod is available in this position, let's look horizontally across the board and see what pod we have at other positions. And then as those things players start to eliminate themselves because they're picked, you've got to rearrange those pods and you've got to rearrange your bullpen 15 minutes before your next pick so that you have an idea when things start to fall. And as you said it correctly. Once the draft starts, then everything speeds up.
Yep.
Everything speeds up, and you've got to have some scenarios that you've already gone over, and that's why, experience, you can't manufacture it in this process, and it's important to have experienced people in there that understand how it operates without panicking.
You've been to so many of these Titans drafts and covered them. Would you look at this draft, Coach Mack, and say, man, this might be the one where we really can't predict anything? You never can predict exactly what's going to happen, but you kind of have an idea of some guys in position-wise. You don't really know what to expect in that first round.
Since I've been here, not counting the 31 years I've done it when I've been on a team, but since I've been here doing it in the capacity that I'm doing it now, with Titans Radio, this is the highest we've ever picked.
Yeah.
All right. And so that makes a difference. I mean, I until this season, I haven't, been on a broadcast, with the losing season. And so we've, picked in the 20s going down. And so now it's a little bit different, when you're picking at 11. And also it's a little bit different when you are trying to replace a salary cap issue with your football team. That as I said, that goes back to Ramon's question, and the answer that I gave, it depends on where you are as a team, and where you are as a team encompasses a lot of things. And so yes, this is a different year. This is a very, very different year. So I think your question is very valid.
When it comes to defense, you're a defensive-minded guy. Let's say they do decide that they want to take a guy at number 11 who is a defensive player. Who is the best bet on that draft board? Who would you take if there was a defensive availability that was a good enough player to take there?
Well, I don't know. Tell me who's taken before him. I mean,
Will Anderson probably would be off the board, Coach.
He is off the board. I would think he would be off the board at that time. Well, then you've got to decide. You got to decide. Do I want to go at cornerback? Where they're obviously going to have someone, or do I want to go on the edge? Do I want to go up on the defensive front?
Yeah,
those are the two things normally that if you have a higher pick and things fall and all of a sudden somebody falls down to you, those early in the draft are the positions that normally, when you look at this draft, the way the numbers come out, I can say this without giving you a particular person because I don't know who's going to be there, but I do know in the top 100 that I've put together, with Rhett, the things that we've got 15 edge players and 14 corners. Okay.
Wow.
So those are the positions that are going to have the bigger numbers, I think, within the top 3 rounds. So it really stands to reason that early on there's going to be those type of higher rated players at the edge and at the cornerback spot. There are defensive linemen, but we've got 9 defensive tackles. And so if you just go numbers wise, you're looking at edge and corner.
There you go. Coach Trey McGinnis with us here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Coach Mack, on the way out, when we're talking about things like the S2 cognition test, these different systems that are being offered to evaluate players and understand more about their personalities and just the mentality they have going towards a role in the National Football League. How many more tools and how many more processes do we have at our disposal now than when you first started evaluating players in this process?
But it's amazing. I mean, it really is. I'm really fascinated by this S2. It's been, of course, it's here in town.
Right.
And it's, it's been in business since 2018. And I've talked to, I've talked to some teams. I did at the Combine this year that are doing it. I want to go down there. I want to go down there and see what it's about. But it's to me, it's one of the more fascinating things is it's talking about the brain processing, which is it doesn't it's not into the personality thing. It's not I never understood the Wonderlic thing. I mean, I had scouts give me the Wonderlic test when I was a coach. I wanted to see what it was about, and I went, "What does this tell me?" I mean, really, I did. I took it twice, and I scored pretty high on it. I said, "Well, this can't be very good if I can score it." So to me, this is S2 though. I mean, is really, really fascinating, and I want to go down there. I'm going to go down there and visit with those people because I think, of course, clearly. Everything has evolved, and that's what you're constantly looking at is something just to give you a little bit of an edge. But the teams that I have talked to that are in it, and I haven't talked to our people here about it, but the other teams that started out early on with it, there is something pretty fascinating to it, and I'd like to explore it a little bit more. But to answer your question, Guy, it's everything. Well, it's everything. There's so much information now. It is just it's incredible.
Well, Coach Mack, we are excited to listen next week for Titans radio draft coverage. Excited to hear our guy Ramon Foster on with you, of course, as well next week.
Ramon will do a great job. We're going to have Hoppy and Ramon with us the first day, so nice. They should never ever get one offensive lineman wrong.
It's true.
There you go, Mo.
No doubt about it. No doubt.
On.
Coach, they should not do that. Kayla, I will see you at your event.
Yes.
Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it, Coach.
Everybody needs to be there. See you guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Coach
Bye.
Mack. There he is, Coach Trey McGinnis here, presented by our friends at Farm Bureau Health Plans, and setting a high bar for one Ramon Foster.
Mm-hmm.
He is.
Can't miss a single evaluation.
I was talking O-line last night. The evaluations.
How was that different than any other day?
Well, this was this was high schoolers we were speaking of.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was just, how I get with the recruiting stuff at times. Like, no, looks a little bit different through the eyes of offensive linemen. And you know what? I'm just glad we're actually able to talk about the big boys in today's football America.
I don't mind it. I don't know why everyone's against it. Now, I sometimes get bored of talking with the players. They're not always the best speakers.
It's
but
locker room to locker room, though.
It is. That's what you told me before.
Oh, my.
So I would have enjoyed Pittsburgh's locker room.
Yeah, because it really was like they came to the O-line first because
that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's not what it was. It's been like for 6 seasons
no.
with the Titans.
Oh, usually came to the OL first because
we're going to the cornerbacks.
What?
Oh, yeah. Logan Ryan, Kevin Byard, safeties, cornerbacks.
I'd probably think our cornerbacks is probably opposite
Not
of
weird.
the ones here.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Differs.
So coming up next, we've got some tickets to give away.
We got tickets?
This is a hot ticket. This is a big deal. We have tickets to see Nashville SC take on LAFC, the defending MLS champions, this Saturday at Geodis Park. But, Ramon and Kayla, these are front row tickets.
Front row?
Whoa.
To brand new, beautiful Geodis Park.
There is a time in which they need to call in. It's not right now, Will, is what you're saying.
It is coming up next.
Okay.
Ooh.
Right here on
Get your
Ramon,
fingers
Kayla, and
ready.
Will, 104.5 The Zone.
If you've been here for a while, you know what a big deal this is. The Genesis Diamond Spring store-wide sale event is here this weekend. 3 incredible days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. This is the big one with unbelievable store-wide savings up to 35% off. You can get rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, thousands of engagement ring settings, plus natural and lab-grown diamonds. Special pricing across the board with zero interest financing as well. This is when the staff at Genesis know they can break all the rules and cut you that discount you're looking for. Plus, world-class designers have flown in with all new collections of fashion jewelry from New York and California. This is the stuff you can't find anywhere else, and it will all be on sale. And if you're getting engaged or have a special event coming up like graduations, Mother's Day, anniversary, birthday, you can't miss this incredible buying opportunity. And Genesis has opened the vault for this too. With the largest collection of GIA certified diamonds you can imagine, all shapes, all sizes, at prices you never thought possible. Don't miss this expanded selection and the extreme value pricing. People drive for hours just to be a part of this. You can get up to $10,000 off some items too. It's this Friday, Saturday, and yes, even open on Sunday, exclusively at Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolexes at both locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
1045 The Zone presents Team Kayla's Songwriters Night for LLS featuring special guest Titans head coach Mike Vrabel. That's coming up Tuesday, 3rd and Lindsley, one of the best venues in town. Tickets $20. All proceeds going to Leukemia and Lymphoma Society to fight against blood cancer. To purchase tickets, visit 1045thezone.com today.
That's right. We hope to see you there. $20 to a great cause for a great evening. We've got auction items. We've got access to Mike Vrabel 2 days before the draft.
Woo!
It's pretty good.
And fans can ask questions, so might get them ready.
See you guys.
That's what I was expecting.
He's
right
going to be nice to the fans, though. It's not going to be like some scrubs like us in the media asking questions.
He may be better with the fan, but you're right about that.
He's always good with the fans.
Yeah. You think he believes the fan is always right? The customer's always right?
Sure.
Okay. I can't wait to hear his rebuttal.
Looking forward to that. And instead of asking us draft questions, just come to the event and ask Mike Vrabel draft
Exactly.
Right,
Do it yourself.
Go straight to the source.
Exactly.
So we have got some tickets to give away
Ooh.
right now. The 1045 The Zone ticket window is now open thanks to Window Nation. Be caller number 5 right now to win 2 tickets to sit front row. That's right, 2 tickets to sit front row to see Nashville SC take on LAFC this Saturday at Geodis Park. Thanks to our friends at Greystone Golf Club. The phone number, 615-737-1045. That is 615-737-1045. Caller number 5, you will be headed to see Nashville and LA play from the front row.
Let's go.
Some of the biggest stars in MLS going to be out in Music City, USA, Saturday night. A 7:30 kick, 7 o'clock pregame coverage, which you can hear featuring me and Jalil Baba at 7 on 1045 The Zone.
Nice.
There we go. Well, you said this is a hot ticket, too.
Very hot ticket.
Yeah.
First 10,000 fans will get a Walker Zimmerman bobblehead,
Okay.
which is going to be great. I've already made my petition to get one myself.
You getting one of those?
Absolutely.
Will. You gotta get some. Come on, man. You call the games, dog.
That's right.
They can't play you like that.
So it'll be fun. That is a big challenge playing LAFC, who is the defending champs. They are the only undefeated team left in Major League Soccer. And many MLS fans who I think haven't watched Nashville or maybe haven't gotten us into MLS will be familiar with some of the names that LAFC has.
Okay.
Including Carlos Vela, Mexican national team forward who played in Spain and in England for a while, and Giorgio Chiellini, who won the Euro 2020 with Italy, literally on the Italian national team as their best defender on that team.
Are you looking that up, Mom?
No, not right now. Because I had my question. I was listening to him, but I had my question already as far as LA goes. You say names they know. Is it because they get the draw because they're LA and like international guys want to go there more? Or they're just
there's a lot of reasons.
Good. Okay.
Financially, they've made some big moves.
Okay.
Paid a lot of money for big names. They got Gareth Bale, who you may have heard of
Are
from
they
Real
getting
Madrid.
that back, though, in MLS? Like, you saying they're paying a lot of money. Are they working in the negative by paying superstars? There actually some get back in this.
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, we know a guy can get $250 million in football because NFL teams are making a lot. Are they making a lot when it comes down to MLS? Like that
is, yeah. I mean, the thing about world soccer is that most world soccer teams that are good are losing millions of dollars every year.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
Oh, yeah.
How's this sustainable?
Because you have oil money.
Yes.
That is funding it.
That's different.
Legitimately.
That's a lot.
Now, we're talking European. Like, the reason why I like the team that I do is because they're one of the only teams that makes a profit.
We do.
Like, pretty much every year. Yeah, that's right. The reason we like the team that we do.
Okay.
Oh, I saw how you did that.
Yeah,
Come on,
You've been following everything there?
I have. I actually got an alert about an hour ago, right, Will?
Did? Okay.
Oh, sure
You did? About what?
We did.
He's on the VIP list.
We do play tomorrow night. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Play tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, we play tomorrow afternoon.
2 p.m. at Southampton, or at home to Southampton.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you get Prada frames.
Yeah, I can't see it now. You
Get to
feel
be on
me?
the VIP list.
Yeah.
Jonathan Schaefer has talked to our winner.
Yeah, Matt Tuck and Lafayette. Congratulations.
Nice.
Hey,
Heading out the Geodis Saturday night. you're giving away the front row tickets, I got nervous. I went, wait a minute, did they take my ticket?
Oh, so you got front row tickets?
Oh, that's bragging camp. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Shay's got a good spot. In
Actually,
Jonas Park.
Will knows where my tickets are.
Yeah.
They're pretty good.
They're
I
pretty
should say
good.
ticket. I share a season ticket.
I come by and when I make my walk, my weekly visit, no free shout outs, but all of the food at Jonas Park is outstanding. But when I get my weekly empanadas, like there are times where I will be broadcasting the game and like I'm going to go down and get some empanadas.
If these empanadas are
visit
not
Schaefer.
good when I try them,
Oh, no,
have
you'll
to
love
give me
them.
my $2 back.
You'll love them. You got Prince's in the stadium.
Okay.
You've got Corner Pub.
It's like local, right?
Oh yeah.
local.
Oh, yeah.
Status or no, not Status Dough. Yeah.
Is that a
The
cookie?
pizza place?
Oh, a pizza. Okay.
Don't remember.
They have really good pizza there too.
Okay.
It's a good time. So if you are sitting here, no, that's a Knoxville place, isn't it? Yeah, it is. I don't know what I was thinking of. If you're thinking of
That is a demerit.
thank you.
Yep.
If you're thinking of going to one game, maybe you haven't been to one yet. This is the one to go to.
Okay.
Should be fun. Jaleel Anibaba, my color commentator, said on NSC backstage last night on the station. He said, "This is the most exciting game of the year." Wow, were his words.
Hey, congratulations to the caller that won then.
That's right,
Golly.
big time.
And Lafayette,
Good job.
not Lafayette.
I
No.
mean, do that at your own peril.
It's not Milan, it's Milan.
That's in Louisiana.
I
Milan.
know Milan.
Lana,
Not Readyville, it's Reedyville.
Huh?
Murray.
Never heard of Reedyville.
I learned that one the other day.
Did
Lebanon.
You? Where is it at?
I don't know.
Reedyville? Oh, I thought you'd
I've
been
heard
there.
of it, but I don't know where it's at.
Yeah, no clue.
Huh, interesting.
Coming up next at halftime of the show, Brad Crawford joins us in hour
Double.
3, our friend from 247 Sports. We'll get his thoughts on what he had to write about way too early SEC predictions coming off from spring practice and taking a look at the college football world this upcoming fall. And Rick Barnes commenting on the status of 2 Tennessee Volunteers on a day where the Vols on the hardwood add a transfer forward. We reset those headlines and much more. Coming up next at halftime of the show on 104.5 The Zone.
8:01 from the Superbook.com sports desk. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. Good morning. The Titans have added a veteran wide receiver, agreeing to terms with Chris Moore. Moore had spent 7 seasons between the Ravens and the Texans. Career highs last year with the Texans in receptions and yards. He's also been a kick returner throughout his career. To the NBA, the Memphis Grizzlies even up their first-round playoff series with the Lakers, beating L.A. 103-93. Grizz did it without Ja Morant. 6 players scored in double figures for the Grizz.
James gave him the 3. He kicks it out. Tillman. He'll tee up a 3. Why not? Ring it up. Put 3 on the board. Xavier Tillman with 19. What a night for X.
Tillman led the way with 22 from Memphis. The series tied at 1 game apiece as it shifts to L.A. for Game 3. The Atlanta Braves, their winning streak stopped at 8 games as San Diego beat Atlanta 1-0. And the Oakland Athletics have signed an agreement to purchase land near the Las Vegas Strip, where they plan to construct a major league ballpark. So they are planning to move. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Into the second half of the show. It is a beautiful Thursday morning in Music City, USA. For Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. Alongside our NFL veteran, Ramon Foster.
Yeah.
Our broadcast veteran, Kayla Anderson. And the best producer in the world, Jonathan Schaefer.
The best producer in the world.
My name is Will Bowling.
His name is Will Bowling.
That's right.
Yeah.
Don't you ever forget. Here on a beautiful Thursday morning in Nashville. I just saw a great tweet a minute ago that I'm going to read on air.
That's rare.
Okay. Perfect. I mean, I didn't send it, so it doesn't mean that, I'm giving myself credit.
Okay.
This guy said, the best part of watching sports is deciding who your guy is. Then for the rest of the game, anytime your guy does anything, your friends get to say, that's your guy.
What if it's a girl?
That's your girl.
There we go.
There you go.
I've been in that boat before. Will told that on the break, and I died laughing because you know how many rooms I've been in. That's your guy. Look at that's your guy.
Like us when Todd Downing would run on 2nd and 15. We'd look at you and say, "Oh, it's your guy."
DA.
Downing advocate.
I received it. I was right for a little bit.
Oh,
For an hour and a half.
I was right for
You hold on to that for the rest of your life, Moan.
And actually, when we found out when that happened, you actually weren't right at all.
You know what? Despite that, the public perception was he was right, and I was riding with my guy, man.
90 minutes.
My guy.
Basically
My
a
God.
movie.
A whole soccer game.
Yeah.
Hey,
there you go, Moan.
man.
The 90 minutes.
Let me enjoy my dub, even if it was for 90 minutes.
on.
We didn't have you do the first kick before that 90 minutes started.
I should
but-
do the first kick this weekend, okay? As in, with the LA team being here, man.
Well, we were going to go to that game.
What
as a
happened?
group. I have
I'll
no
be there.
clue.
Where's that bus
No
at?
idea.
Where's that
Schaefer,
bus at?
we can still go
roll.
as a group. I mean, what?
I know 2 of us at least are going.
Yeah, that's right.
Man, what
Where
the
are
world?
our tickets, Moan?
Shit. Come on, I have no idea. I have no idea. I didn't say that. It was a mix between another.
No, it's all right. I went ahead,
He died. I
took care of it.
I didn't say that.
I don't think you did, but I took care of it anyway.
615-737-1045
Rashawn.
is our number this morning.
Appreciate that, Rashawn.
Oh,
well done.
Good
goodness.
morning,
Thanks, buddy.
I
Nashville.
didn't say it. It
So-
sounded like it.
Was it with a D or a T?
I wouldn't dare go that
He was
route on
saying should,
the air,
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh my god.
It happens though. When you're like things are going through your brain this early in the morning, You mix words.
I didn't that
I
time.
took care of it.
Oh my gosh. Appreciate you, Shave. Either way.
Will looked at me in a panic.
He did, but that's neither here nor there.
Because I wasn't quite sure either, so I went, if you're not sure, dump it.
If it sounded like it, then we'll dump it.
Right.
Either way.
So go ahead with your formal apology for the thing you did or did not do.
I apologize for something I did not do.
Okay.
Exactly.
There we go.
All
That's that code. Either way, to that point about your guy, every year in camp we used to have what we call our day ones. And we pick a guy that was a low round guy, an undrafted guy, and be like, that's my dude.
So who picked you then when that was you?
Coach T picked me.
Oh
wow.
No, for real.
How's bragging camp going?
No,
We do not
I'm
care.
not even joking because it became that guy.
Mike Tomlin. For those who are
Mike
unfamiliar.
Tomlin. But we used to call it don't be that guy. I was don't be that guy at first, and then we turned into a who's your day one because it was the guy
I thought you were going to say, who's your daddy?
No. Better not be that in football. But you had to pick out somebody. It was a group of us, and you had to hit on the dude that either made the team as a low round or undrafted guy. It was really scouting is what it was.
Did you have, when you were hosting recruits, everyone I've known who's ever hosted a recruit, you take pride in like your commitment rate out of the recruits that you host. I was 0 for 1 on the recruit that I hosted. Also, it was like my best friend from high school is who I hosted, who ended up going to Texas to run there. But legitimately, that was a big point of pride.
It is.
As an athlete, was like, all the recruits I host, they've all committed. I don't know what y'all are doing, but
it was. I had a couple. Most significant one. I was up against the wall with this one, Mike Orr. Like I felt like, and we have a friendship to this day. I felt like I could have got him if I wasn't. You know the wall we were up against on that one.
And Sandra Bullock happened.
Yeah, Sandra Bullock happened, man.
Hey, I can't complain about that.
I assume I had Mike committed. I'm going to have to ask him now. I might have to say, hey, Mike, would you have committed to Tennessee had it not been, for family ties and stuff, just to see what he was going to say?
Look, if Sandra Bullock was recruiting me,
right?
Man.
Yeah, she's the GOAT.
Man,
come on now. That's tough.
I'm real about that.
That's tough. That's a hard win.
told
So
you
who did
go
you
Ole
get?
Miss?
Who did you host who did commit?
At that point, after I lost Mike, I was out of the game.
Oh,
at
no.
that point, yeah.
That's all you had?
Yeah, because I didn't really want to do it, so I wanted to enjoy my Saturday night.
See, the thing is, though, you basically get paid.
Yeah.
It's not basically. You get paid to host recruits because they
you
give you
do.
per diem for you and for them for the whole weekend. So essentially, what would happen was
Becoming McDonald's back.
is you would take. Okay, all right, Shave. It's just us talking in here now. The thing that you would do to
Not anymore.
Well, the thing that you would do. Oh, there we go.
I'm back. You would take your recruit to like cookout.
Yeah.
And get the cheapest food possible, then just pocket the rest of the per diem money.
Okay. I mean, I'd be hosting everybody.
I would too. But it's a mix. Oh, I can't say that on air. It's a mix between.
Yeah, you're on a roll
today.
today. You're on a roll today.
It's a mix with showing them a good time and try to save their money that they give you too. Because it's a matter of do we go to the local spirit store and make sure we have a good time, or do I actually put this money
Surely
in my
that
pocket?
didn't happen on recruiting visits.
No, well,
Never.
it was sipping on sweet tea is what we were
SZA?
sipping on.
Okay.
Zee-rip. But, yeah. But it is a mix between how much do I want this kid to commit versus how much I want to keep this money.
It was fun to enjoy a nice Petro hint of orange sweet tea on recruiting visits.
You had that?
Are you kidding me? Of course I've had that.
Oh, wow.
Petro's orange sweet tea is one of the best things about Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of good things about Knoxville.
Oh, I had a memory this past weekend, too.
What's that?
I hadn't gone into this room since I was recruited, and I told my wife that too. Underneath the stadium, this is where we used to have, like, our recruiting dinners and stuff.
We had ours in there, too.
Yeah.
On my visit, yeah.
I walked back in that room for the first time since 2003.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where we had our dinner at. We went out on the field.
Get your, like, halftime hot dogs in there.
Yeah.
Literally.
We went underneath.
Which has not changed
and I
for,
was
like,
just
20 years.
But this is the official visit one when nobody else was in the
I know.
stadium. We had dinner in there.
Oh, I know. We did, too.
You did, too?
So because all the Olympic sports, too, they bring you down there in the, like, official visit room.
Yeah.
And they serve you, like, a halftime snack. I was mad because they took us down there with, like, 3 minutes left in the first half. I was like, well, I want to watch the game. What are we doing? It was a blowout. Tennessee killed Kentucky that day, Groundhog Day. But, No, that's where I committed.
Yeah.
Like when I told coach, like, hey, like I'm in, like I want to go ahead and commit, was literally in that room. So that room always has a special place.
It does with me too, because I remember like my jersey being up inside of the room and everything. It's 78 with like Foster. I was like, it brought back so many memories though. I was like, why haven't I been back in this room since 2003?
Pretty cool.
It was a really cool moment, man. Like I was just in awe of just being back there in that moment.
When did you commit? Like what was the conversation like? Did you just call Fulmer or like how does that work?
They played the game. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, right.
They played the game. So I was supposed to go to Michigan State the weekend I actually committed at UT.
Okay.
And then flights got grounded and I ended up taking a visit to UT. Man, fell in love with the coaching staff was really good. Coach Washington was my coach. Pat Washington was my coach that was primarily recruiting me. All things just lined up. I went back home and I recruited I committed like that Monday afterwards.
Nice.
And they hit me with hey, we got like 4 tackles on here that we're looking at, and we'd love to go ahead and get you locked in and get this commitment going right now. I committed before. I took one and only official visit. I visited other schools, but UT was my one official visit. If I could go back, I'd take all 5 of them again.
Well, now there's no limit starting this year.
How do you even manage that?
Dabo Sweeney's head is going to spin because he has a rule that's the case at the most minor inconvenience. But Dabo Sweeney has a rule that if you're committed, you can't take visits anywhere else. And so friends that I've had that have been hosts of players who are Clemson commits, half of their job that weekend as a host is to hide them. That way they're not seen publicly, like out on the streets or like walking around campus.
Whoa.
And like I've heard of people that have hosted Clemson commits on visits. And it's like, hey, we got to keep this guy under wraps because Dabo can't find out about this.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of that is going to take place. And Brad Crawford's coming up in a couple minutes. I want to ask him about that and if the University of Hawaii will now get more official visitors.
I was going to say budget, Will. Budget.
The budget is going to be tested a little bit. Legitimately.
Oh, yeah.
I only took one visit, and I committed on the spot. Well, because I didn't know I had an offer.
Yeah.
And so we were talking with the coaches, and I talked to them, and they were just kind of like, hey, you do know you have an offer to come here, right? And I was like, oh, well, then in that case, let's do it.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, Brad Crawford put out a piece, win predictions of the SEC on 247sports.com, heading into the summer after spring ball has concluded for everyone. We'll get his thoughts on the Joe Milton Kool-Aid that is being drank and the spring team that is very interesting to me because of an offensive coordinator change at the SEC and a swing game on Tennessee's schedule that I'm fascinated by. We'll dive into that much more coming up next as Brad Crawford joins us. Simone, Kalen, Will, 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon and Kayla for Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, they are the heating and cooling company that can take care of all your HVAC needs. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is a proud Rude Pro partner and a Mitsubishi Diamond contractor also.
Yeah, and you know what? Spring is here and summer is right around the corner. So if you haven't already booked your spring tune-up for your AC unit, now is the time to do it. Through the month of April, get your AC tuned up for just $79. Get that fall tune-up for free. And Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, the family, well, they do it right. They're family owned and operated. The family business known for outstanding customer service. We're not just saying that. We know it. They are not a company that is hiding behind a reputation when it comes to a company reputation. They are actually their family name, putting it on the line every single day. The Spring Hill Heating and Cooling family responding promptly always to your issues. They get those problems resolved quickly, and they always do it accurately.
Today, your AC unit is going to be tested, okay? It's supposed to be about 83 on the thermostat, maybe a little bit higher on the index. And if you turn the AC unit on and it's not working, guess what, man? Call our friends at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling so we can get this taken care of and you're not the bad apple in your house. Reach out to them at springhillac.com and be sure to tell them that Ramon and Kayla sent you.
Continuing your Thursday morning right here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Alongside Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling. Jonathan Schaefer, our producer, and joining us on the Marks Payne Real Estate Hotline, our friend Brad Crawford of 247 Sports, talking college football in the SEC. What's going on, Brad? Good morning.
How's it going this morning? Doing pretty well.
We are good, and I'll tell you what, it's good to talk college football because we have been drowning in mock drafts for the past couple of weeks. Going off of spring practice coming to an end, specifically in Knoxville, Brad, where we'll start. What is your vibe and just feeling around Joe Milton, Tennessee, and Josh Heupel? Because this is the first time in a while they've had to kind of reload a little bit coming off a 10-win season.
Yeah, I think Tennessee has one of the better quarterback rooms nationally. I think they have two guys right now that they can win big with. You know, winning big in 2023 might not be an 11-2 finish like last year. It might be a 9-3 based on the schedule that I'm looking at. But I think Tennessee is here to stay as a perennial top 15 program as long as Josh Heupel stays put. And, you know, before spring practice began, I was a little worried that the loss of Alex Golesh would affect this offense even more so than losing Tillman, Hyatt, and Hendon Hooker. But based on what I've seen and spoke to guys within that program during the spring, I think Tennessee's going to be fine this season and should finish inside the top 20.
So, Brad, you wrote about this at 247 Sports, the post-spring SEC record predictions, and with Tennessee, with those 9 wins. You mentioned in that a similar kind of loss maybe on the horizon, like the South Carolina game last year, maybe against Missouri. You've got Kentucky in there as well, different options for that. Just how talented does Tennessee have to be on defense to avoid these quote-unquote faceplant games, kind of like they had down the stretch last year?
Yeah, they have to be much better, especially down the stretch. You know, there's that early season game at Florida. That's obviously a huge game. Tennessee is better at most of those positions on the two, but it's still a game where you go to the Swamp, rivalry atmosphere. That's going to be a challenge, and that's kind of a swing game that I'm looking at. But, you know, late in the year, giving up 63 points last season to South Carolina, not only, you know, did the offense sputter at times in that game, but when you're having to score every possession, it just makes things really difficult. And I think early on this season, 2023 season, that is, I think Joe Milton needs to avoid 3-and-outs and give this, you know, defense some time to operate and, you know, not be gassed getting back on the field. So Josh Heupel's not going to change up his tempo-based offense, but I do think that we're going to see a slightly slower pace this season so that Tennessee's defense might have a shot to play a little better.
When you look at this Tennessee program as a whole, it looks like they're taking great strides in terms of being back to, you know, the UT that we all once knew. And you see Alabama with Nick Saban, and they're still up there. And now you see Kirby Smart putting Georgia on the top. What does Tennessee really have to do to get up there and be with those names in terms of college football?
Yeah, right now Tennessee signed I think it was number 10 class according to our rankings at 247 Sports for the 2023 cycle. And while number 10, you know, compared to everybody else in the Power 5 is a elite class, it's not a class that's going to result in national championships per se when you're having a battle, like you said, going through Alabama and Georgia in your own league. And then you have Texas and Oklahoma, who right now are also recruiting at a higher level than the Vol. So I think Josh Heupel, not only is he going to have to develop players at an elite rate, but he's going to have to sign some top 5 or 6 classes and not, you know, 10 to 12 classes to break into that, you know, really perennial national title contending program. I do think Tennessee is back as a national power, but the definition of national power can be either Final Four every year or a team that kind of sputters around the top 15. So I think Tennessee needs to sign classes that are inside the top 5 and not ones that are, you know, 10 to 15 range.
And some of those guys are recruiting down in that South Carolina area. And I know that Beamer is doing a great job over there with just kind of boosting their recruiting. Like, what is he doing?
Yeah, it's crazy what Shane Beamer's doing right now. Got 2 4-star commits and a 3-star yesterday. So right now, South Carolina had a top 20 signing class this cycle and is number 5 nationally for 2024, which would be the highest rated class in program history. And that's the kind of class I'm talking about that can result in national titles if you can, spring 2 or 3 of those together. Right now, Gamecocks just have momentum. They were able to sign 5-star Nicholas Harbor in February, got him over Michigan, Georgia, several other elite programs. And, coming off that 8-win finish and beating Tennessee and Clemson in November, what you do on the field does matter. And these recruits see this. And I think South Carolina, a team that's never won a conference championship or a national title, is, one of those teams right now that's sort of sleeping giant in a way. And recruiting right now is really going A1 for Shane Beamer.
When you look at this team and the projections of wins and losses, is 8-9 a setback for Tennessee? Is that just, hey, you got to build up a program to sustain it in today's football?
Yeah, I don't think finishing 9-3, Ramon, in the SEC is a setback. Tennessee, obviously, last season I think was just ahead of schedule a bit, finishing with 11 wins, beating Clemson in the Orange Bowl. But 9-3 in Josh Heupel's infancy still at that program in Knoxville, I think it's still really good. They like the 5-star freshman quarterback they signed. He's a guy who can, win an SEC championship maybe down the road as long as Tennessee continues these elite classes. Joe Milton right now is sort of the placeholder quarterback. This will be his last year with the Vols, and I don't think Nico is ready right now to win as a true freshman. But Tennessee will be fine this year if they win, 9 games. That will not be a step back because you're going to bowl season with a chance at a second straight double-digit win season.
Who are you looking to be the biggest contributor for the Vols winning this year? Because that's my question is, okay, you got Joe, and Joe is the biggest topic of conversation, right? But what's going to be necessary to really take them over the top as being competitive, specifically in the East this year?
Yeah, I think Brew McCoy has to be a 800 to 900 yard type receiver. A wide receiver one, so to speak, has to step up for Tennessee. The Vols essentially had 2 of those last season when Hyatt and Tillman were both healthy together. Jabari Small needs to be a difference maker at running back. And then Squirrel White, he's the kind of guy that everybody is anticipating a breakout 2023 campaign. But is he the type of, wideout that can go for 1,000 yards? Probably not. Is he a game breaker who can maybe score an 80-yard touchdown in a big spot? Probably so. So, like I mentioned earlier, man, the quarterback room at Tennessee is very good right now. I think the offensive line is going to be solid, but as the 3 of y'all have mentioned, the defense has to be elite for this team to get from 8 to 9 wins to possibly 10 or 11.
Brad Crawford, our guest from 247 Sports this morning on Damone, Kalen, Will. And Brad, Texas A&M coming to Knoxville in Week 6 is a fascinating swing game for both teams. How different is Jimbo Fisher, you think, willing to make his offense now with the new help of Bobby Petrino this year?
That's the million-dollar question, man. Nobody knows. Jimbo Fisher is sort of an egomaniac when it comes to offense with those 75 papers he holds on the sidelines every Saturday. And that offense last season, man, you could have ran 3 or 4 plays and probably had better success than what the Aggies had last fall. So I do think the addition of Petrino is going to help. Connor Weidman's a very good quarterback. As a sophomore this fall, should be, light years better in terms of development as he was last season. But Texas A&M's a team that can't afford another 5-win season. I don't care what Jimbo Fisher's buyout is. There's going to be some oil tycoons in College Station that are willing to pay that if he goes 5-7 again. But you're right. That game at Neyland, coming off a bye for Tennessee in October, huge game for both teams.
Yeah, Buc-ee's sells a lot of brisket sandwiches. That's a lot of funds to maybe make a move there if they feel like they need to. Brad, you mentioned Tennessee's trip to Gainesville, and I promise myself every other year that I won't pick Tennessee to win in the Swamp until I see it happen because it's just been too long. But right now, it's hard to imagine a scenario where Florida can feel really good about where they are at the quarterback position and on offense to beat Tennessee and feel confident about their own chances as well.
Yeah, I really hate to call that, say that would be a bad loss for Tennessee, but let's face it, it would. I mean, the Vols would be 2-0, SEC opener, probably ranked inside the top 15, going against a Florida team that would be 1-1, losing to Utah in that opening game. And like you said, really no essential playmakers on offense that, makes anyone think that year 2 is going to be any better for Billy Napier than year 1 was. I think Tennessee right now is battling South Carolina to try to solidify that number 2 spot in the East for the next 3 to 5 years. I think Florida is taking a step back. Tennessee's obviously on the rise. Shane Beamer has won more games the first 2 seasons than odds makers thought he would. Maybe year 3 he goes even bigger. So Tennessee and South Carolina right now are the 2 programs who are fighting for, to solidify that number 2 spot behind Georgia in the East.
The team that continues to throw rocks and be in the mix a little bit, Kentucky. Seriously, though. Like, you have a top 5 quarterback, it seems like, this year, and they didn't really net much. What's to say for the Wildcats moving forward in the SEC East and where they're competing?
Yeah, the schedule sets up very well, Ramon, for UK this season. I think they're going to be 5-0 going to Georgia in October with wins over Vandy and Florida and, 3 cupcake non-conference games. And then, you're talking about Devin Leary, one of the top quarterbacks in the portal. I think he's a guy who would have gotten several higher offers, say maybe one from Georgia, Alabama, those kind of programs, had he not had, some red flags medically. He still has that shoulder issue. He was a full go this spring. Him and Will Levis are different players, but I live here in North Carolina, and I watched all of Devin Leary's starts for NC State. And at full strength, he is definitely a top 5 quarterback in college football. Now, I don't know if he's going to be at full strength this fall in Lexington, and I'm not sure if Kentucky's, wideouts are as good as some of the programs maybe he could have signed with. But, you have to kind of tip your cap to Mark Stoops. When you don't think he's going to win 9 or 10 games, he wins 9 or 10 games. And when Kentucky has hype, they go 6-6. So I think right now, heading in 2023, Kentucky's maybe a 7-5 type team, and obviously the type of team that every Saturday is going to give favored teams fits.
Speaking of you being in Carolina, I've always kind of heard this, the talent bed that lies in the states, man. North Carolina Tar Heels, they usually, as of late, they've had a good footprint, no pun intended, as far as the way they recruit, right? But they've got to be at a point right now where they got to feel the stresses of other teams pulling from them. South Carolina, Tennessee, having Georgia in your backyard. Like, you look like a lot of prospects are leaving that state. What are they doing to kind of put a barrier around that right now?
Yeah, I'm about an hour from Charlotte, Ramon, and Charlotte's a huge hotbed for talent. I mean, 2024, Jaden Davis, 5-star quarterback, top player in the country at his position. He goes out of state and goes to Michigan. Yeah. And Jim Harbaugh's not the type to sign 5-star quarterbacks. So that was a big loss for Mack Brown, Shane Beamer, Dabo, all these programs in the Carolinas offered Jaden Davis, and instead, he chose to leave. I think Mack Brown, he sort of lost some of that momentum. You remember his first or second year in Chapel Hill, he was signing top 20 classes, and now he's just outside the top 20. And now there's talk of, Gene Chizik, his DC, maybe being the head coach and waiting there since Mack Brown's on the downward slope of his career. So, yeah, I think it's very interesting that right now NC State with Dave Dorn is probably out recruiting the Tar Heels when UNC is the team that has better facilities and maybe has that sleeping giant role, but it just hasn't happened. I mean, he had Mitch Trubisky. He had Drake May now, the guy that Sam Howell. He's had 3 really good quarterbacks there. So I think it's interesting to see just how far UNC can go this year, especially after losing Phil Longo, their air raid OC to Wisconsin.
One more for me. With Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC in 2024, how is that going to change recruiting?
Oh, I think it makes, for the South Carolinas and Tennessees of the world, it makes everything even harder. I mean, those schools are not only having to, try to climb on the backs of Bama and Georgia and A&M from a recruiting standpoint. Now you bring in 2 other perennial top 10 programs as recruiters, two really good head coaches there, Brent Venables and Steve Sarkisian. It turns college football's best conference into a super conference pretty much. And for the next 10 years, it's going to be the SEC versus the Big Ten. And once we expand to 12 teams in the playoff, if we didn't have those 6 automatic bids from Power 5s and G5 champion, nobody would argue with, 7 or 8 SEC and Big Ten teams in that top 12.
Brad Crawford, our guest this morning on 104.5 The Zone. And Brad, on the way out, I've seen some of the speculation that for Tennessee, the protected opponents under new scheduling formats would be Alabama, Vanderbilt, and South Carolina, which was a surprise to many of us, just kind of seeing some of those conversations. How does new scheduling change the stranglehold Georgia and Alabama have had on the SEC when they're going to have to play more of these teams that they were seeing every 6 or 7 years, now every other year?
Yeah, outside of, talent differential and coaching prestige, I think schedule favorability is all important every year. When you look at schedules in September, trying to find a path to Atlanta for these SEC teams. And if we go to a pod system, or we do away with divisions and just the top two from a 16-team Super League make it to Atlanta, I mean it makes it that much tougher. And I do think your 3-opponent permanent draw is going to have a big factor in this. But I know Greg Sankey is going to try to balance schedules as much as he says, but look, it's guys like Nick Saban and Kirby Smart who ultimately have the say in how those schedules are going to be written out. Those are the two main money makers in the SEC. So I think there's certain coaches who are going to lobby for, I'd rather play Vandy than so and so. But only Saban and Smart and maybe Jimbo, have that kind of say.
Brad Crawford has been our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, college football writer for 247 Sports. Brad, always enjoy catching up with you, man. Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, y'all.
Yes, sir. There he is. And making the point that we've made the past couple of weeks that everybody's going to want to come to Nashville now in the world of college football and outside.
Yeah, buddy. I'm looking forward to it. Well, the most hurtful thing he said in that?
What's that?
Texas and Oklahoma make it hard for Tennessee to recruit, and I figured that'd be the case first and foremost.
Yeah.
My biggest question is how much will teams be able to go into Texas to recruit their players to come to? Well, you're gonna see your mama. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna see your dad at these games now because you're all SEC affiliates. I wonder, does that open up Texas? Or does that just make them put a stronger vice grip around the state of Texas and Oklahoma also?
Well, and it also depends on how Texas and Oklahoma move forward with their new coaches. Because, look, they haven't proven enough yet to me to know if they are even worthy of competing with the likes of Nick Saban, Kirby Smart.
Yeah.
I'm going to say eventually Josh Heupel because I think he's on the track to getting up there. Look, Texas has not had a great background in terms of the last 10 years of success with whoever they brought in. They still have a lot to prove, and they're taking a step up going to the SEC.
Yeah.
So there's still some work to be done there to be sustainable and to be able to compete with, let's say, the other guys that they're going to be competing with recruits. So it's to be determined, I think, too, with how that all shakes out.
That's true. That's fair.
We're back.
They really haven't been.
That's the thing. They have had high recruits.
Yeah.
But
they haven't turned them into anything.
Oh, we go.
615-737-1045, our number. We get to the headline from Knoxville yesterday where Tennessee added a transfer forward. And we'll hit the other headline as well of Rick Barnes essentially giving the status update on two Vols whose statuses are in question. That's next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 1045 The Zone. What's going on? It's Will Bowling here for my friends at Lee Company. Look, we know the weather is changing, but real question is your air conditioner ready for it? Maybe it's time for an HVAC professional to check it out. And our friends at Lee Company, they've got you covered. One of their expert technicians will perform a 22-point inspection and seasonal cleaning and maintenance to help you stay ahead of the changing weather. And we know in Middle Tennessee how quickly that weather does change. Well, you know what's even better? Every time a Lee Company technician is in your home, you can see what they see without climbing in the attic or crawling under the house. Thanks to their visual findings platform, they virtually take you wherever they go. Don't let your air conditioning fail this spring. Call Lee Company at 615-567-1000 or go to leecompany.com/promotions to get your discounted cooling system tune-up today. That's 615-567-1000. They're online at leecompany.com/promotions. That's Lee Company, all you need. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, right here on 104.5 The Zone with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. And we are pleased to be joined this morning by Drew Wolf, who is the regional director of the St. Jude Rock and Roll Running Series right here in Nashville. Welcoming him in on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline this morning. What's going on, Drew? How are you?
Good morning, Will. Doing fantastic. How are you?
We're good. And for Ramon Foster, who is in this big health kick right now, he's working out a little bit more, exercising. Is there still time for my guy here to maybe get out there and run a little bit with you guys this weekend?
Absolutely, Ramon. Come on. I know someone. we got you taken care of. Come on. Come down to the Municipal Auditorium today. We'll get you signed up and get you started. And we've got a distance for everyone. So we'll go from a mile to a marathon. No reason you can't be out there with us on Saturday and Sunday.
Hey, I heard you say like we start with the mile with Ramon. I heard that a little bit. Okay.
You've got it.
Okay, that's fair. I'll take that.
Well, Drew, what can you tell us? Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Ramon, we've got from 12 years old all the way up to 85 years old running this weekend in the half marathon and the marathon. So come on out, compete against some of the most determined and fantastic people on their fitness journey with us. So
I love it. Yeah. So, Drew, what can you tell us about what is unique about this year's race, this year's course with the marathon going on here this weekend in Music City?
Yeah, some exciting changes. As you know, we're very fortunate to start on Broadway. There's not a better starting line for a race in America. Just a really cool energy there. We've got some changes this year to our marathon course. We're headed back up through Metro Center, but coming back through downtown on some of the trail. And we've reduced the elevation by roughly about a third of what it has been for the marathon. And the response to that has been great. I think we've got more folks signed up to run the full distance, 26.2 miles, than we've had in probably 7 or 8 years, which is exciting for us. And then new finish line space. We're still at Titan Stadium on the Nissan campus there. We're going to be finishing on the south side. The backdrop is Lower Broadway. It's just such a cool window into this community and the city. So excited to share that with everyone this year.
By the way, the weather's going to be perfect for running this weekend, too. I'll just check that out just in case. Like, I'm on the website now just in case I do want to register still. I just needed you to know that I'm actually looking at it.
Good. Come on.
I'm actually looking at it. With that being said, though, what's the start times and expectations for folks, too? Let's just say if I'm doing the 1 mile, do you have the start time for that one as far as like 1 mile, 5K, and half marathons? How is it staggered out?
Yeah, for sure. Great question, Ramon. So we start on Saturday morning. We have our 5K and 10K. That kicks off at 6:30 a.m. The start line's right in front of the Music City Center at 8th and Demumbrian. We follow that at 7:20 a.m. with our half marathon and marathon race on Saturday morning. That's at 8th and Broadway is the start line. Those 4 races all finish over at Nissan Stadium. And then Sunday, we call that Sunday Family Fun Day. We have a doggy dash, a 1 mile race, and a kids race. Those all kick off at 12 noon. Those are at Nissan Stadium. Again, just a great way to come out and participate. And I tell you what, the kids race and the doggy dash on Sunday, even if you're not going to run, just come out and see those. It's such a cool window into Nashville and the community that's here. It's great to see the kids just take off like a bottle rocket and run those half mile and mile courses. And then the doggy dash, Nashville's such a pet friendly community to see the owners come out and run with their pets. It's a fun piece.
You get, the local runners, but you also get runners from all over the country, the world, that want to come and kind of do this race in particular, because you guys have some fun things around the course, right? Including live music.
Oh, absolutely, Kayla. You're right. And we've got folks traveling as far away as Brazil to come and run this event with us. Tens of thousands of people that'll be traveling in from out of town. Obviously Nashville is just an incredible destination for the music, the food, just the community piece. But this is a running community, and if you're a runner, this is on your bucket list to come and be a part of this. Again, just a cool experience. And the music that you mentioned, the talent, we're spoiled, living in Nashville. We know how good the musicians are, but when you come here as a visitor and just blown away by the talent, and that is from start to finish on our courses. There's a band stage every mile with someone who's just going to knock your socks off with the music that they share. It's a fun piece and a great way for us to showcase what's special about Nashville.
See, that would have made my college running career much better. That's why I didn't end up. I never ended up being an All-American or anything. I didn't have live music on the course up in Knoxville. So I'll take that up with those people up there. Drew Wolf has been our guest this morning, regional director of the St. Jude Rock and Roll Running Series here in Nashville. Drew, always one of the best events of the year, man, and good luck with everything this weekend.
Thanks. Appreciate that, Will. Thanks, Kayla. Ramon, come on down. We'll get you signed up.
See, that's what I need. I needed you to end this interview with that, okay? Some encouragement from me because you mentioned a lot of things other than, Ramon, you can finish this. I didn't hear any of those things out of you, Drew. And then you start me if I'm doing the 1 mile, the last one to start, Drew. Help me help you with this.
I'm your biggest believer. I will be there at the start. To hand you a water cup during the event and at the finish. So come on down. I believe in you.
And I'll be there to push him onto the finish line or start line. It'll be great.
There we go.
Awesome, Drew. Thanks so much, man.
Thanks, Drew.
Y'all take care. Have a great day.
Yes, sir. All right. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get you to.
I actually enjoy running.
I'll coach you.
I don't need.
I'd rather coach you than myself.
Move one foot
you might need a coach
in front of the other.
That's a lot more than that.
I'd rather be miserable through the entire time, so I can just be like, I did it. Don't ask me anymore.
Let's just start with you hosting the barbecue. Then we'll take all the steps and all the other things.
I'm gonna deflect again because 3HL was supposed to run this and they pulled out.
They did all of it?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. We're not bringing snitching. 3HL into this one.
I'm dragging them into the mud with me. If
sir.
I ain't did a cookout, then guess what? They didn't do a marathon.
Oh, they're not directly on our team.
Well, they quit on their own team.
Fourth and final
That's
hour.
their
We'll try to
problem.
sustain that energy. Coming up next, 104.5 The Zone.
9:02. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. The Titans have added a wide receiver to their squad, agreeing to terms with veteran Chris Moore. Moore has spent 7 seasons between Baltimore and Houston. He posted career highs in receptions and yards last season with the Texans. Has also been a kick returner in his career. The Memphis Grizzlies even up their first-round playoff series with the Lakers.
Grizzlies 103, Lakers 93, zeros on the clock. Streamers from the Raptors. We're tied at a game apiece. Let's head west.
6 players scored double-digit points for the Grizz, with Xavier Tillman leading the team with 22. The Grizz won without Ja Morant, who is still day-to-day with his hand injury. The Braves' winning streak stopped at 8 games. Atlanta lost to San Diego 1-0 yesterday. And the Oakland A's have signed an agreement to purchase land near the Las Vegas Strip, where they plan to construct a Major League ballpark. A $1.5 billion, 35,000-seat stadium with a partially retractable roof is to be built on the site. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
It is the fourth and final hour of the show, the fourth quarter on a Friday, Junior. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. A good morning to have a good morning in Nashville, Tennessee, alongside Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. Jonathan Schaefer keeping us in line.
The best producer in the world. Of the world, Craig. The world.
Or are we keeping him in line? Who's to say? I'm Will Bowling. Tennessee adding a transfer forward from the Ivy League. Yesterday, Chris Ledlum officially joining the Tennessee basketball Volunteers, a young man who averaged 18 points per game last year, 18.8 to be exact, 6'6", small forward, the second transfer portal addition in consecutive days after Tennessee landed USC upstate guard Jordan Gainey on Tuesday. It's a full roster right now.
Smart move.
Very smart move. I met him this weekend, too, by the way. He was on his his official visit. Cool. Got nice size to him.
So you did host a recruit who committed to Tennessee.
Hey, give me
Good
my
job.
dub. Give me my
There
dub.
you go.
You're 1 for 2.
Congrats.
Move over, Michael Orr.
There we
Maybe he got a barbecue.
Maybe. You know what? They did feed him well.
Aaron Kraft did.
Yeah.
That's why Bruce Pearl's at Auburn and not Tennessee, because of barbecue. Anyway. Aaron Kraft, by the way, snitches get stitches, but that's
Is that what it was?
War criminal.
We don't like Aaron Kraft in Knoxville.
Oh, my. Where did he end up going to school at?
Ohio State.
He went to Ohio
And then
State.
he played
He's a star
Tennessee
there.
in the NCAA tournament.
How did he
That was
do
not
against
the
us?
year that, we did beat them in the Sweet 16.
Well, there
to
it is,
To the
then.
Elite Eight, but I don't think he was on that team.
Okay.
Aaron is a very nice guy.
He is a very nice
Yes.
guy. Why did he rat us out?
He's
Or
canceled.
did he just have loose lips?
Canceled.
He's canceled?
I've canceled him.
Well, if you cancel him, guess who I'm riding with? My dog. He's nothing to me now, okay?
So Tennessee now 3 scholarships over the 13 scholarship limit. If Julian Phillips, Josiah Jordan-James, and Uroš Plavsic return. Rick Barnes adding yesterday at the Big Orange Caravan here in Nashville at Nissan Stadium that Julian Phillips and Josiah Jordan-James are going through the NBA draft process, which was, I think, pretty expected for them. I would be surprised if those 3 guys return.
You'd be surprised if all 3 do? How many?
I don't think there's any chance all 3 do.
Any of them come back at this point?
I don't know. It sounds like there's not a ton of smoke that I could say with confirmation. Like the conversation has been, I don't know if they know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's somebody out there that knows which way they're leaning.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see how Tennessee manages this because they do have no space to take anyone else right now, and they're continuing to add guys and probably need one more.
Yeah, they possibly do, man. Ledlam, to me, man, they just fooling around on the court for a second. I think that's legal to say. He was a bucket out there. He could stroke it well. I was impressed with him, but there were my amateur eyes looking at what it was as opposed to what coaches actually see and what they're looking for out of a player. Had good size on him. Parents were really cool. But he looked like he enjoyed himself this past weekend, though. So good for Coach Rick Barnes. Ran across him yesterday. Really, he was excited about that one. Really good.
Did you talk to Coach Barnes?
I did. We held a really good conversation yesterday. Bob Kessling was around holding court, and they were telling those stories and stuff. We had a good little group around, and if I'm not mistaken, it looked like Barnes may have gotten a call.
I'm sure. He's always recruiting.
Last night when we were together. And that was very interesting.
Ledlam committed around like 7:30 or 8 o'clock.
So maybe that was it.
Because he moved away from the tables like, I got to take this. Well, he committed while he was around us last night. That's kind of cool.
Hey, ABC, always be recruiting.
Always be recruiting.
They never get – I swear, to be a coach nowadays, in a power conference too, it's just like next level. I don't understand how those guys sleep. And Rick Barnes is like, I'm not going to call him old. I'm never going to call anybody old. No. But, man, he's got experience.
What I've noticed though, Kayla, you got to be built for that. Not only you, your wife has to be built for, a significant other. Your kids got to be fully understanding because it is nonstop. Like the signing period for college basketball is pretty much done at this point. Like this is portal stuff.
It's not done yet.
I know.
Julian Phillips committed in June last year. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I mean, it was the summer because Will Wade had been fired at that point.
Yeah. Goodness. Yeah, you got to have a very understanding group of people around you to coach in today's game.
Yeah.
Interesting comment from Matt Miller, NFL draft scout, this morning on Twitter, talking about Ryan Clark, who is there's a little bit of Twitter beef out there in the atmosphere.
Yep.
Because Brady Quinn, Fox Sports Radio host, former Notre Dame quarterback, Fox analyst, basically had this statement on a show he was on about C.J. Stroud ghosting the Manning Passing Academy. That he was expected to be there and then last minute didn't show up and never told anybody. And Ryan Clark brought the question of, look, like he chose to do work with his teammates. He never committed to attend the Manning camp. Like, why, Brady, why are you bringing this up now? Mm-hmm. And Matt Miller had an interesting caveat to this earlier this morning, told someone last night, there's a reason we're all of a sudden hearing negative stories about Stroud, which I've not heard one of them firsthand, by the way. And he says, who does it benefit and why are they being told now?
Yes.
I think you could make the argument somebody out there likes C.J. Stroud enough to try to let his stock fall a little bit. That way they have a chance to trade for them or sign them. And is that person a fellow Ohio State alumnus named Mike Vrabel?
See you guys.
Yeah, look, you never know. I wouldn't think that Mike would ever do something like that because that's his place of home.
Right.
But that's funny you said that because, again, I was talking to Joshua Perry, who comes on the show a lot, former Ohio State player, and he told me yesterday with that specific situation that's pretty much the reason why you're hearing these kind of negative things come about because there's no other reason for it.
No.
He has heard nothing but great stuff. He knows CJ. He's a great guy to work with. Ryan Day, a guy who understands quarterbacks, has always loved working with CJ. He's got a good attitude. He's a well-spoken young man. So it's one of those things where there's always a reason. It might not be the right one to why this information's out there, but it's probably correct.
It is. It's just nasty, though, because...
It is nasty. That's the word he used, Ramon. Nasty.
It is, Kayla, because we're doing everything but talking about his play. Like, he ain't had no pre-draft controversies, right? I get Jalen Carter. Okay, man, that sucks. That's gonna follow you for a little bit. But C.J. Stroud has been one of the top guys since last year. He played at a top-of-the-line level this year. He's top 5 when it comes down to his draft position. Why you, as a former player, quarterback yourself, even take this article and run with it, or take this conversation you had with somebody else? The way Ryan Clark made it seem, and maybe we'll get Bryant McFadden's take on it too,
is
RC was just like, you should have did your research. You took hearsay and you ran with it. And most players that play the game, and I'm sure y'all the same way too, like don't throw that guy under the bus for your benefit or somebody else's.
I don't like it.
Yeah, and it comes down to, as a draft analyst and source, you have to know when you are being told legitimate information that you can report.
Yeah.
Or when you are being told something for the purpose of that person just getting information into the atmosphere and using you as a vessel to get a narrative pushed out.
Mm-hmm.
That's where just the draft is just, again.
And let's just say
maybe we just do this thing a couple weeks earlier and this doesn't happen. But I don't think it's the length of time that's the problem, because these stories are going to come out regardless.
Sure. Let's just say Brady got truth from his source. Well, it's just like you or Kayla call me and you tell me something. I'm more likely to believe most of what you say than not, because I trust you giving me information.
Yeah.
Now, Brady took that information and probably didn't research it and ran with it. But most of the times, however somebody feels is their truth. It may not be the truth.
The truth. The actual fact.
It's their truth. And you tell somebody else that trusts you, that's how it all spirals out of hand right there. And I feel like this is what C.J. Stroud is going through.
Coming up next, Bryant McFadden of CBS Sports will join us. We'll get his thoughts on whether or not C.J. Stroud's fall is a legitimate one and who could be interested in the former Ohio State quarterback. That's next as Bryant McFadden joins us on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, it's Ramon and Kayla from Window Nation. There are friends there, of course. Everyone loves a smart investment. We, of course, love it here. And there's no better place to put your dollar bills right now than in your home. Maybe your home is 20 years or older. Window Nation has the perfect offer for you. Right now, you can get 0% financing for 5 years. It's really unheard of. And you can always check that out at windownation.com.
No doubt about it. And Kayla, smart investments is what they're all about, okay? They measure each window 3 times to ensure proper fit. Over 10,000 online positive reviews. That's a positive. Comprehensive lifetime warranties on the entire window, including the glass, okay? So if something happens in transported or installing, glass breaks out, you get another window. They've installed close to 2 million windows in over 150,000 homes, with 96% needing no follow-up service. They have all the options you need. Over 1,500 custom vinyl window combinations available. Kayla, that is by far the smartest thing you could do.
It is. And right now, you can pay nothing for 24 months. Plus, buy 2 windows and get 1 free on any style of window from Window Nation. Again, you can check them out at 866-90-NATION or just go to windownation.com and tell them Ramon and Kayla sent you.
Fourth and final hour of the show this morning on a Thursday in Music City. It's Ramon, Kale, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, talking NFL draft and hitting the headlines of the NFL with our good friend Bryant McFadden, former teammate of the Big Ragu himself, Ramon Foster, now with CBS Sports. What's going on, Bryant? How are you, man?
Man, it's a great day to be alive. How you guys doing?
We're good, B-Mac.
We're good. Bryant, what in the world is going on with C.J. Stroud's draft stock? Why is this happening where we're hearing negative things about him just 1 week away from this thing?
Man, you know, we hear this every year, unfortunately, pertaining to a prospect, a noteworthy prospect. And I think it has a lot to do with CJ's agent more so than him and his personal behavior on and off the football field. Because up until this week, everything we heard in regards to CJ has been positives, all positives on the football field, off the football field. And now, literally a week away from the draft, we're hearing this negative pub be associated with his name, which doesn't make any sense to me because it seems to be he's a leader on and off the football field. We know he can play ball. We know he can throw the football. He can put points on the scoreboard, and he handles himself accordingly off the field, so it doesn't make any sense. So I think it's more pertaining to his agent and the bad relationship that his agent has with the Houston Texans in regards to the Deshaun Watson situation.
So, Brian, is there a realistic chance, your gut feeling of him falling to number 3? Because now the conversation becomes in Nashville, hey, if the Titans are interested in moving up to 3 to get a quarterback, we'd much rather that be C.J. Stroud than Anthony Richardson if you're picking that high.
And listen, the only way I see C.J. falling to 3 is if the entire front office of the Houston Texans, they're intoxicated with some Crown Royal, some Hennessy, some Patron. That's the only way. That is the only way because let's keep it real. The Texans, they need a quarterback. Yeah. They've been searching for quarterback play consistency at that spot since they lost Deshaun Watson. So they know they need a quarterback. Davis Mills is not the long-term answer. And if they pass on CJ to go get a defender because they feel like CJ is not the guy, well, they will be in the same position in 2024 in the draft and trying to figure out who can they select to be their quarterback.
B-Mac, why is that position so heavy to judge when it comes down to it? We have now the S2 that kind of calculates how guys' reaction and timing is now. It's justified if you move up in the top 5 for a quarterback. Why, in your opinion, B-Mac, is it this important?
Well, Ramon, the quarterback is the most important position on the football field. I don't care what level of football you're participating in. If you do not have a quarterback, that field feels like it's 150 yards.
Yeah, it do.
Because it takes longer for you to drive the length to put points on the scoreboard. So when you talk about, especially in the National Football League, if you don't have sound, good quarterback play, you will always be in the top 10 of the draft, hands down. So for the Houston Texans, they got to get it right. Because you don't want to be in a position where you are selecting a top 3 type prospect because that tells you were bad the year before. So when you get it wrong, think about the down years for the Cleveland Browns. Think about how many years they got it wrong at the quarterback position. And because they consistently got it wrong, they did the unthinkable, giving the opportunity and giving Deshaun Watson a fully guaranteed contract because they've been so desperate at the quarterback position. So that's why it's imperative if you make a move to go up to get your guy, you got to make sure he's your guy. And secondly, have a nice structure in place because I say this all the time, and Ramon, you know this, and for everybody that's listening that watch the game of football, it's not solely about getting the best quarterback that's in the draft. It's about having the best system that can get the most out of that said quarterback when you do draft him.
Oh, down there we go, B-Mac. Now you took me exactly where I wanted to go. We ain't even rehearsed this, B-Mac, okay? Jalen Hurts.
No doubt.
Great situation for him, okay? Got the bag, and it is beautiful. Lamar Jackson, B-Mac. Does this hurt him moving forward? What's the deal with Lamar? And if you feel like you're valuable, hold out. But where are we at with him and the way teams want to pay him and the way they got to structure that team around him?
Lamar's in a tough situation, man. And it's hard to say a man is in a tough situation when worst case scenario he's going to see $32 million.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But for his worth and what he means and what he does, he's highly underpaid if he was to play for that $32 million this year. Let's keep it real. So Lamar is in a situation, number one, for him representing himself, he handled this all the way wrong. I would have forced a trade last year. Because if they were not willing to pay you what you felt like you were worth a year ago, I tell them I'm not coming to camp. I'm going to do what Russell Wilson did to Seattle a year ago. Russell Wilson said he wanted to be traded. What happened? He got traded. Tyreek Hill said he wanted to be traded. What happened? He got traded. Devontae Adams said, I want out of here. What happened? He got out. And those guys did not have a tag. When you have a tag, you don't have a lot of individual leverage. So Lamar should have never played his fifth year of his rookie deal. That was the first ultimate sign of disrespect. So now because he played it, got hurt, lost some leverage as production, in regards to production, he's a sitting duck right now, unfortunately. So two things happen, guys. Three things happen, in my opinion, with this situation. Either Lamar Jackson lowers his demands and what he feels like he's worth, or the team lowers their standards and bend more than what they've been bending so far and give him more, or he plays with the franchise tag. That's it. I don't think he's going to sit out. So I think those are the three things that will happen.
I know that you said, B-Mac, that Bryce Young is him. He is him. He said teams should not overthink this move. He needs to go number one overall, despite the height. You had a good argument for that. So why is he the guy? Why will he be a legitimate starter in the league?
Well, as an individual, he has everything you would want your starter to have. I understand people concerned about his measurables, but like I said, it's not like he was 6'3" at Alabama and now all of a sudden he shrank to 5'10". Like, now that's a big adjustment, you know what I mean? Because he's not used to throwing passes with this new height that he has. But he's been this height his entire collegiate career, and he's done numbers. So when you factor in the accuracy, right, the anticipatory skills that he displayed time and time again, the mobility to buy time in the pocket, even when he don't have any money, he buys time. And just the clutch-like ingredients that he has, that's what you want. And he has hot film. You can turn this tape since becoming a starter. This man has delivered. So when you factor all of that into the equation and based on his resume in college football, he has been the best quarterback, the most consistent quarterback. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he will be a big-time superstar in the National Football League because we know it's all about what they surround these young quarterbacks with. But just pertaining to what he's done in college football, he is my QB1.
So we talk a lot about the offensive line on the show. Well, why? Because, we got Ragu over here. I'd prefer to talk about cornerbacks a lot more, but, that's just my preference. I'm just joking, Moan. But in all seriousness, we haven't talked a lot about cornerbacks in this draft. Like, who's catching your eye?
In regards to corners?
Yeah.
Oh, man, you start and stop that conversation with the top two guys, which is Christian Gonzalez from Oregon, transfer from Colorado, and Devon Witherspoon. Hey, Ramon, you remember the last time I was on, I think I told you to watch some tape on Witherspoon. Did you do that?
I did do that. He's him.
When you walk, say it again?
He's him. Okay? Capital H, capital I, capital M. Everything that you're looking for. Him Duncan. Yeah, that's right. Himothy. All of the hymns. He's legit. Yeah, he is, B-Mac.
He's the type of guy, he doesn't mind getting into a bar fight. That's what he wants. He want to go into the back alley and swing. And he doesn't mind hitting you first.
Yep.
And we haven't seen that type of mentality in a cornerback in a long, long time. He has the mentality of an Antoine Winfield Sr., but he has no regard for his body. When he drives his car, he doesn't put on the seatbelt. And I'm talking in football terminology, which is a good thing because, most coaches, they got a saying, I'd rather say woe than sick 'em. I want to tell you to calm down instead of telling you to go get someone. He doesn't mind going to get someone, but he doesn't have the measurables that Christian Gonzalez has. When I say 6'2", 4'3", 41-inch vert, good ball skills, what do you say? Oh, first rounder, could be the first to come off the board. So I think either guy can be the first cornerback to come off the board. It's about the personal preference for that team that's selected at that time. But both guys, I think, will be extremely beneficial to the team that decides to draft them.
Bryant McFadden, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Bryant, how much do we really know about Trey Lance to know what his trade value could be moving forward into these next couple of weeks and into the offseason? Does it feel like to you that someone who doesn't get the guy that they want in the draft may go to Trey Lance as their plan B later this offseason?
Potentially, I think so. Where there's smoke, there's fire. We heard Minnesota, they've been inquiring about Trey Lance. The thing about Trey Lance, we don't know we don't know if he can really play. Mm-hmm. But we know he has potential.
Right.
And a lot of these teams, when they know you have potential, they feel like they can get the best out of you if they put the right things around you. And he still will be fairly cheap as a quarterback because he doesn't have any leverage to really knock on the door to get an extension before his time is up. So you have the luxury of getting Trey Lance. Basically, this would be year 3 for him. So you still have the luxury of getting him for another 2 good years and a fair deal and a fair market value in regards to per year salary. So that's why people are intrigued about what it would take for Trey Lance to become their new starting quarterback. And I'll say this, too, as well. If you're San Francisco and clearly you're entertaining trading Trey Lance, regardless of what will happen with Brock Purdy or not, it seems like they're entertaining calls in regards to Trey Lance. Why don't you go ahead and send a flyer out to Baltimore? Ooh. Let's send a flyer out to Baltimore. Because I tweeted this out in March. What if San Francisco trades for Lamar Jackson? Now people say, well, B-Mac, how can San Fran trade for Lamar Jackson when they don't have a first rounder this year? Heck, they don't even have a second rounder this year. Well, instead of giving them a pick, why don't you give them a former first rounder? And guess what? If you're telling me Baltimore and Lamar can't come to terms to anything, if I'm San Francisco, I'll see what it costs to get Lamar. We know it's going to be at least 2 first rounders. Okay, I don't have a pick, Baltimore, but I'll give you Trey Lance, who was a top 3 selection a few years ago, and he has a doable contract you can handle. I'll give you Trey Lance. I might throw in Brandon Ayuk, and I might throw in the first rounder in 2024. Now, if you Baltimore, heck, okay, Trey Lance, Lamar Jackson, we know they're 2 different players, but clearly he has a similar skill set, and he's cheaper. Who knows? Especially if Lamar says, I want out. And if I'm San Francisco, let's see what it takes. And just imagine this. San Francisco with Kyle Shanahan calling plays, Lamar Jackson, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Trent Williams. That structure in place? All right.
B-Mac, are you a GM now? I thought you worked for CBS Sports, man.
Hey, yo, Ramon, you know what? I did my first official mock draft. I told you. Releasing it Monday. I did a 7th round mock for Pittsburgh. A lot of people kind of liking what I'm putting down. So, GM, they work extremely hard. They get paid a lot of money, but they work extremely hard. And I kind of like my hours that I have currently now. But I don't mind giving my sound input. But does it not make sense, though? If you San Fran, right?
Yeah.
If you're listening to people about Trey Lance, clearly you don't mind moving Trey Lance. I would move Trey Lance. I would tell Baltimore, this is what I can give you. I'll give you Trey Lance this year, who's a former first rounder. Clearly he will be one of the highest first rounders on your team, and I'll give you a first rounder in 2024. Because one thing about San Francisco, they're kind of like the Rams. They don't care about picks. If they can get a guy, an established guy into their organization, the hell with that pick. They've shown that with doing what they've done to get Christian McCaffrey and some of the other guys on their team already.
Yeah.
So, Bryant, who do you have going to the Titans in that mock draft?
We had a long conversation about this, Will.
Listen. Because me and Ramon, you know what I mean? So this is what I like to do. When I'm doing this is my first mock draft, by the way, so it took a lot of work.
Congratulations.
But I like to reach out to people who are tied to some of these organizations. So me and Ramon had a nice conversation the other night in regards to the Titans. I don't want to give too much in regards to what I did with the Titans, because I want you guys to really pay attention. It comes out on CBS Sports on Monday, so I want y'all to really look at it and let me know. But I'll tell you this much. I had the Titans trading up from 11.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. I can't tell you who they traded up to go get.
All right.
But I had the Titans trading up to 11.
You didn't even
from
tell
11,
me
I'm
this.
sorry, from 11. From 11.
Are you willing to tell us how high from 11, Bryant? Can we get that out of you?
Oh, they traded up with the Falcons.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I like it. Up to number 8.
Yeah.
So, Bryant. Yeah, go ahead.
So my trade calculator that I have, when they traded up from 11 to 8, they swap first rounders.
Yep.
And because of the relationship with Arthur Smith, they've done business already. Instead of giving the Falcons a second rounder this year, they're going to give the Falcons a second rounder in 2024.
Oh.
That's fair.
I like that.
Bryant, when you're talking about going up to get your quarterback or just going up to even get the left tackle you want further up in the NFL draft, it's interesting. People want to make the statement of, well, go ahead and build everything else, then go get your quarterback. Or maybe it's the opposite of, if your guy is there, go ahead and just get your guy, and then you can build everything else around him. Do you feel like there's a correct order of operations with which a team should do these things in a certain order?
I feel like, me personally, if I was a GM, I got to go get my guy. If there is my guy, screw trying to build everything around and then go get my guy, because your guy might not be there anymore. So if you know this is your guy that you're all in with, he is the foundation, because your guy should be the first foundational piece to what you trying to do everything else to. So if you see your guy is there, we're going to build around him instead of trying to have the building in place and then get the tenants. No, give me the tenant first. Therefore, I know exactly how certain rooms need to be placed, how that tenant likes certain things, so I can make sure that tenant is as comfortable as possible.
B-Mac, real quick, is Detroit and what they've done as far as their foundational pieces with them getting Sewell, have they started their rebuild properly? I'm on that train, just so you know. That's the reason I'm asking you.
Man, Detroit's going to be a playoff caliber team this year.
What do we say, Mom?
If they don't screw this thing up and do in a Lions-type thing like we've seen in years past, they will be a playoff team. Mm-hmm. They got to be healthy. When you talk about their foundation, yes, look at what they've done in the trenches. You know what I'm saying? Look at some of the additions they made. You talk about Sewell. Look at Hutchinson. You know what I mean? They still might add a few pieces on either side in the trenches this year. No question. I love what they're doing. And Jared Goff has really been playing. He's been playing some pretty good football. But that's the key. That's the key. Your quarterback. You don't necessarily need your quarterback to be Superman week in and week out. It's okay if he put the glasses on. He has the iPad in his hand. He can be Clark Kent. But when you are Clark Kent, you just got to make smart, sound decisions. And every now and then I might need you to put that cape on, because that's how you're getting paid, to be able to deliver the goods when no one is expecting you to do so. And that's who Jared Goff was towards that second half of the season. That's why the quarterback is so important. If you want to see your team flourish, guys, heck, y'all in Tennessee, y'all know. If your quarterback ain't playing well, y'all don't win ball games. That's the consensus throughout the National Football League. So for them, in regards to Detroit, I love everything they've done in regards to adding pieces. But it starts and stops with the quarterback. Jared Goff has really managed the system the right way, and he's done everything you want him to do in regards to just being smart and putting on his Clark Kent glasses.
There we go.
Great stuff as always with our good friend Bryant McFadden of CBS Sports. We anxiously await the Monday mock draft, Bryant. Can't wait.
Yes. And since this is my first mock, I decided to give it a name. It's B-Max Mock 1.0.
Nice.
Because hopefully it's well received, and I might need to do a 2.0, which would be the second one, maybe the 3.0. So hopefully you guys check me out. Monday, CBS Sports. I wrote up a nice little column as well. Hey, Ramon, they're trying to turn me into a little journalist a little bit, you know what I mean? But
capitalize that J in journalist when you're talking about Bryant McFadden.
I'm trying to. But yeah, thank you for allowing me to join you guys and check out my mock. And then we can kind of revisit this in regards to what I have the Tennessee Titans doing with them trading up from 11th to 8th with the Falcons.
I like it.
Okay, we're going to hold you to it, man.
Good stuff. Thank you, Bryant.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, there's Bryant McFadden. Monday.
At 8.
B-Max
Who
good,
could it be?
Man. Are y'all convinced he should be the 49ers GM or the Ravens?
Why not?
Hey, maybe he could get the deal done with Lamar, since no one else in that building can.
Nobody can.
Coming up, we'll wrap up the show, get the headlines we missed on the way out, and tell us again where you can come see us tomorrow on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone. One final segment this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. I feel like I need to have a smooth jazz voice. This is good music to finish the show. Just sending me into my post-show nap today.
I like this beat.
Can't wait.
I feel like I'm in a coffee shop. Oh, yeah, that's right. We'll be there tomorrow.
Hey.
That was
Cool.
a quick plug.
I know.
8th and Rose tomorrow morning is where you can find us, 8th Avenue South. There is ample parking in that area as well. If you just got to stop by quickly, you're worried, there's not a lot of parking spaces over there. There is a parking lot right next to 8th and Rose between that Subway and 8th and Rose right there on 8th. So utilize that. I stop there all the time, at least twice a week, literally.
Yeah.
And there's always a spot open. So just stop by real quick. Come see us tomorrow. It is for a good cause as we raise money for Kayla's LLS campaign.
Yeah.
And legitimately, go get some coffee with us.
It is really tasty.
Or just grab a bag to take home because they are so good.
They are. They got
the
those
Ethiopian house blend with just a tiny bit of cream. They got oat milk, which is solid. That's kind of a thing now for people.
And pastries.
And
Let's not forget about the pastries.
Those Pop-Tarts, I'm telling you.
I know, those are
Homemade
really
Pop-Tarts.
good.
Y'all don't want to go there. Matter of fact, don't have one. No, don't have one. I'm telling you.
No, have one.
No,
Yeah, have one because
It's Friday and we're
we got to
just-
get this.
I know.
money
but
raised. Let's
those
go.
things are too daggone good. I'm trying to figure out myself. Can I make those at home? It's not as good when you make
Healthy?
it sometimes. Yeah, it's just not.
I don't know if you can do
I'm
that.
going to just leave it alone, Kayla. It's
It's like a treat.
just dabble in and get out real quick. That's all you got to do.
Treat yourself.
Yeah, treat yourself.
I heard my Lakers lost last night.
Oh, geez. Here we go. And that was without John Morant playing for
I know,
your hated Memphis
That's
Grizzlies.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
Dylan Brooks saying LeBron is old. I don't respect someone unless they score 40
Oops.
points on me.
Uh-oh.
I want that guy to lose every game for the rest of his career.
I get what he's doing.
Oh, of course. He's Lance Stevenson now in a new body.
What's
He's
crazy?
Patrick Beverly.
Was it Ron said it on here or when he was at my house? He was just like, I'm telling you, would have loved him in college, though. He said
At
you
Oregon?
absolutely loved him at Oregon.
Yeah.
He's like, you want him on your
Never
team.
want anybody at Oregon.
No, you don't. That's just like me, the Kentucky guy, okay?
Kentucky?
Kentucky guy, yeah.
You messed up there.
But he said you love him. This act that he has going on right now, I hope he don't bury himself.
Quack.
God, I hope he don't bury himself.
I will say, though, I am the proponent that we need more hatred in sports.
Fair.
And I am glad to have a villain team to hate. I love to hate Dylan Brooks, and he wants to be hated, so that's
I
fine
was
with
gonna
him.
say, well,
It's his role.
Yeah, it is. Which one is it? You just
I'm not blaming him.
You get both. You don't like Memphis
Right.
and you don't like Dylan Brooks.
Well, yeah.
Both. Yeah, don't.
He's
it's
embraced
fair.
the attitude of that entire city, of the entire city of Memphis, because Memphis,
Which is what? What is
Yeah.
that, Will?
Memphis versus all y'all.
Oh, sure.
Memphis versus all y'all.
Yeah.
Is Memphis versus everybody.
It's a real thing.
That's a real thing. That's not me. That's not even me saying that's a negative for them. That is literally the motto of their city is Memphis versus all y'all.
And you know,
would.
you know who is that over on the West Coast?
Who's that?
Sacramento.
Light the
Yep.
beam. Light
Sacramento.
the beam.
I'm
Light
excited for that.
Holding it down.
I only in my life now just want to light the beam. It's all I want to do.
They love that. That has
crazy.
rallied the. Can I tell you something? That's rallied the city.
I'm
a
sure it has.
beam.
Lighting the beam is one
And
of the
the team
most
doing well.
electric things in sports right
Did
now.
y'all-
So if you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, because like me, you don't watch the NBA in this city, which I know is many of you listening to the sound of my voice right now.
Such a hater.
No, that's many people listening to the sound of my voice right now. After Sacramento wins, they have a button to press a skylight that is purple.
Yeah.
That then
Yes.
goes from the top of their arena and lights up the sky purple. It's so cool. Google it if you're not driving right now.
Yeah.
And they literally, the whole crowd will chant "Light the beam," and one player presses a button and a light turns on, and it is absolutely
Oh,
electric.
to have that power.
Great series
Impressive.
right now with them in Golden State. They go back to
Yeah.
Golden State right now.
And they're taking control.
I don't know
They're
if
up to
y'all
nothing.
heard De'Aaron Fox's interview the other day
I
when
did
they
not.
asked him about
did the Fox
guarding Steph.
Oh.
He said, "You'll die guarding Steph."
Uh-oh.
He said he's like, this bleep never stops moving.
He does it.
He's like, you will die out there if you're not ready to
Well,
guard
they're going to
him.
do it then because
Woo!
they're already up 2-0.
NBA playoffs, by far some of the best ball you're going to see, though. If you anti-NBA, the playoffs is it.
Well, that's what people do. They tune it now.
Yeah.
Buck Rising Show is next. We are live tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., where you can find us. 8th and Roast is the place to be. Hope to see you there to grab the best coffee in Music City. Ramon Foster, send us home.
No doubt. Hey, please remember your Twitter fingers and Mike is always hot, right, Kayla?
I can feel it all